Oh, it's not playing? Hello, welcome everybody. Welcome. We were going to start with a little. Why am I still wearing this? All right, that's better. So our friend. Oops, I got to turn this down. Our friend Vicky Quaddy, who often plays our today, yesterday trivia quiz, in the middle of a pandemic, has decided to go to Egypt for 2 3 weeks. God bless her. I hope she has a wonderful time. But we're going to open with like this Muslim prayer. And which of course would anger the hell out of Rabbi Saul, who's coming on in half an hour. But it was so cool, and Joyce had it queued up, and then we kind of lost it or something. But whatever. We hope Vicky is having a marvelous time in Egypt. I'm sure any place she could have gone to is hurting um, for customers, for tourists, for travelers. Our country could use some as well. Not yet. 2 or 3 more weeks. Hope that you're well. What a weird start to the show. This is Dave's Gone By. I'm Dave Lefkowitz. It is our 833rd, pardon me, episode of the program. And we are live on this Saturday morning, January 15th, 2022. Our third, our second and a half episode of the brand new year, since we did a New Year's show that fell over into 2022. Then we were on last week, and now we're back from 9 to noon or thereabouts, right here on this Facebook page with all our archives and all our stuff at davesgoneby.com. So we give a shout out to Vicky Quaggy, who will not be on the program today, but we've got so much else and so many great people who will be in the Daverhood on this particular episode. But first and foremost, let me welcome to the Daverhood my darling and adorable and wonderful wife, Joyce. Hello, Joyce. Joyce is busy reading about healthcare worker burnout. So if you can glean anything that you can share with us on the program, something hilarious.
This is the Great Resignation. Is it called the Great Resignation? Will you tell me what it's
The
called?
Big Quit.
It's called the Great Resignation, I believe.
Yeah. Well, it's not just healthcare. It's so many people who realized, wait a minute, in a lot of places the minimum wage isn't even $15, and people are going, you know what? I worked for $12 an hour doing something I hate, uh, and I don't desperately need the money so much that I'm just gonna not work.
That's the Amy Mann song, Calling It Quits.
Yeah. And some people are calling it quits to go from that $11 job to a $16 an hour job, which is great. That's fantastic. That's the best kind of capitalism. Is some of what we're living in now, not the inflation part, not the supply and demand part, but the basic part of I've been paid crap for so long, now I'm going to get a little bit more crap. So that's the dream of the American worker. Is we all dreamed of being really rich and famous and surrounded by harems and not having to just traveling all year and living in Aruba, sitting by a pool, sipping. Well, for me, it'd be like hot, frozen hot chocolate or something. But for other people, something a little more alcohol-y. But your basic American worker is just going to be like, oh, I'm making, I'm doing, but if I leave, and go to, my life will be ever so slightly better. And that's what people have been doing the past year or two. For a while, they were bolstered by a little bit of money they were getting from the government, but mostly it's that, you walk by stores in strip malls and on streets and stuff, and you see help wanted, and that kind of makes you feel like, oh, they want my help. And I'm already helping a place, but they're not helping my wallet enough. Maybe they can help me a little bit more, if I go to this other place down the road. And I think that's sort of, this is all churning in my mind because I won't give particular specific details, but I've been working for the past year and a half now in a local school district. And finally, after
Somebody wrote, Cynthia said some of us teachers are just burned out.
Well, that too. I mean, maybe it isn't even the money, because teachers, depending on where you teach, can make pretty good bucks. But after 10, 15 years, after 2 years of trying to teach within the confines of masking and testing every day and sometimes remote and being afraid for your life and your safety. And people, teachers are like, okay, okay, I would rather work in Starbucks and make $15 an hour in health benefits than have to deal with 9-year-olds, half of whom are walking germ balls during a pandemic. I get that too. I really do. But I do. I work for schools. I'm not teaching where I am. I'm doing more administrative stuff. But our union finally got it together with management. This took like almost 3 years of bargaining. We've been on a contract. We've been working on the old contract that both sides have been honoring so fine. But our contract expired sometime in late 2019. And we've just been kind of going along from there because of pandemics being unable for people to meet and get work done and everything else going on, and seeing how much money the district have and what would come from the government and not. They couldn't get it together. So finally, 2 weeks ago, there was a meeting for the union membership via Zoom. And it's okay, we've been working, we've been hammering out, and we've been doing this and that. And please, membership, vote yes on this. And this will take us not through just this year, but the next couple of years. And if you guys say yes, management has already said yes to this. The board will ratify it. If you guys ratify it, it'll be a done deal. So we're all like breathing sighs of relief, except people who are looking at it and going like, okay, after all this, and with inflation currently at 6 or 7%, we're getting a 2% raise, right? So it's like 4% below the cost of living. And me not being a teacher and not, I work administratively in kind of, more of a secretarial and a data area way. So it's not like I'm an administrator. I'm not a principal or a vice principal or what do you call it, assistant superintendent or anything like that. I'm a glorified secretary, if you will. And so my salary is like here. And it's like, oh boy, 2%. And I'm so excited because it's 2% more than I was getting, right now or last year. And it's going to be retroactive too. So money I would have made had they ratified this contract 2.5 years ago. So I'll get a little bump in them. So I'm figuring out the percentage. It's like 2% more, 2% more. And then I look at 2% of what my salary is. And it's kind of like, oh, all right. That whole thing would pay like 4 months of a cable bill. And that's really all it is. Now, if I were a teacher making a lot more money, 2% of a lot more money is a lot more percent, isn't it? But just this idea of the American worker being sated and satisfied, even though you're not really making a living wage. If I were living alone and not married and having to pay rent and make car payments, thank goodness I don't have children or anything, or we don't have pets right now. But if I had to live on my salary, although I would be in like a rat-ass studio apartment somewhere, with an old car, praying. Well, I would have health insurance because I pay through the nose for it. But so I'd be okay if I got sick. But I couldn't travel. I'd stay in a hostel. I wouldn't eat meals out. I have to have like breakfast. If I were in Egypt, I'd have like tea and a cookie for breakfast, and then I'd starve the rest of the day just to have a vacation. That's the kind of money I make, right? So 2% over that. Wow, I'm an assuaged American worker. But, I like where I work. I like the people. I like the surroundings. And there are times when I'm busy and times when I'm not so busy, which is perfect, right? So, like all workers, you just kind of shrug and you roll with the good times and you just kind of bear the bad ones and you make what you make. And if someone gives you a cookie, if someone says, oh, good job, pat on the back, here's $1.50. You're like, oh, thank you.
I haven't had a cookie in a long time.
Well, Joyce doesn't even get cookies, because she watches her.
I love a cookie. I had a chocolate chip cookie from Grand Central like months ago. It was delicious.
But here's the thing: you never liked cake and pie.
I don't like because I grew up in a community where you were forced to eat what are the Germans? It's that apple turnover. It's like baked apples and
strudel.
Yeah, and I can't. So it just turned me off of like.
Sure.
I never never liked cooked fruit and
No, I don't. Well, no. Apple pie I do like, and cherry pie I like actually.
No. The only thing I liked, we used to go to a German restaurant it was called Mashbach,
Yeah.
Mashbach in English, and they would have what's that banana?
Wait a minute, mommy.
Banana cream pie.
Did you just say mash something?
No, Mashbach.
Mash?
No, Mashbach.
Oh, okay, it's okay. Potato.
They
Potato
have
is
banana cream pie, and I liked that, but I would only eat the bananas and the whipped cream. I didn't like the goo or the crust.
The goo is meh. I never liked goo and key lime or in banana cream. The whipped cream for sure, the bananas or the lime part.
No.
But there's something about the goo in pie.
Disgusting. Yeah.
It's not disgusting. I'll eat it.
It's disgusting.
It's not disgusting. I'll eat it. But there's something about the goo in pie. It's my least favorite pie part. You know, if they were to break down a pie chart of a pie, and you say, well, what do you like most? A crust, good graham cracker, crust, yeah. And then nice, fluffy, homemade whipped cream, yeah. And I don't love bananas the way you do, but, you know, bananas, sure, fresh bananas, nice, good. Goo would be like, I guess it wouldn't be the pie that it is without the goo, but somehow, because otherwise it'd be like a chiffon, goo 5%. You know, let's keep the goo in pie to a minimum. Right? Or if there's probably somebody out there who can make goo-free pies.
I'd much prefer like chocolate, but with migraines, that's like iffy.
Yeah.
But I much prefer eating a piece of good chocolate, like the Belgian chocolate, than eating a sweet.
I will say goo in Boston cream pie, pretty damn good, because it's all good goo. It's chocolate, it's vanilla, it's crust, it's chocolate goo, chocolate anything. Chocolate feces I would probably eat. Chocolate covered feces. You just kind of close your eyes and it's like, well, no, I don't like the center.
They used to do that this is disgusting. They used to do this in baby showers. They would get a diaper and put melted chocolate to look like poo-poo. Yeah.
That's wonderful. I'm surprised I did not invent that. Maybe I did invent that.
You did invent that.
I've been around a long time. Maybe I invented the diaper filled with chocolate. I love that idea. I love it. Well, you know, and potatoes have long talked about going to Golden Corral for their ketchup fountain. And I keep telling them, Golden Corral, you know, it's a fun place. They've got a fondue thing. They do have the chocolate.
Yeah, but they have too many French fries. Are you crazy?
I know. First of all, he's got to be careful when they walk in, because if they see potatoes, they're immediately going into the fryer. And second of all,
David, don't say that.
if anybody sees a ketchup fountain, it's going to look like the place is running over with blood. It's not going to appeal to the main customer base. And what?
What?
He's saying he doesn't want it to appeal to the main customer base. The ketchup is for potatoes only. So it is a good thing that a ketchup fountain would be a turnoff to the general populace. I guess he has a point. He does. How was your week, dear?
Good. You know, I mean, it is what it is, right? I mean, their semester started, which is good, and you know, like I'll be grading and stuff. It's like I was saying, a lot of the students and myself, that when you go from the fall semester to the spring, it's such a quick turnaround. It's like you just get grades in, they just get their stuff, and then boom, you're right in the next semester. It's like it's more intense. So it's intense.
As opposed to having the whole summer off, and then you
know, there's school clothes, you get school supplies, it's fun, you know, but going right back in, it's a quick turnaround. That's hard.
Yeah. And by the way, I called the last episode, the previous one, 832, Just a Matter of Time.
Oh, this comedian is wonderful, Papa.
That was like, and yeah, that's the reason we're calling this week's show.
Papa, can you hear me?
Yeah. You know, okay, let me explain that. We're calling this episode Papa, Can You Hear Me?
Is Barbara Streisand?
No, it's not Barbara Streisand. And I was thinking, should I call it Where's Papa? Or
Papa's in Ketchup.
Right, or Come to Papa, which probably that would have been
good.
That would have been good, I know, but I kind of, the first one that popped in my mind, or popped in my mind, is Papa, Can You Hear Me? Because we're very excited, fingers crossed, that we have a guest coming in the Daverhood today, about an hour or so from now, to talk to Rabbi Saul Solomon, the great, the one, the only, the Jewish Rabbi Saul Solomon, one of the funnier comedians out there. And I'm not just saying this. If you find him on Netflix, he's got 2 specials there, and he's going to be playing. What the heck? Let me just give you that information. He will be on tonight. He will be at the New Jersey Performing Arts Center at the Victoria Theater, and he's going to be in Huntington at the Paramount on April 22nd. But he will be. You're going to see him today. He'll be delightful and fun to talk to on the show, and then you will get in a car tonight and drive to New Jersey to see Tom Papa at the New Jersey Performing Arts Center. It's tompapa.com to get tickets, or just go to NJPAC, whatever their website is, and get your tickets. So, Joyce and I, we watched a couple of his specials the last couple of days, and I didn't even tell her. I didn't say, by the way, he's going to be the guest on our show. I was just, because we've been watching a lot of comedians on Netflix and YouTube. It's one of the things I enjoy actually, watching during this pandemic. And so, let's watch this guy. And she's like, oh, he's good. He's funny. And I wouldn't say he's G-rated clean, but he's pretty, most of the time, very PG. A little occasional scale, which is even tougher in this world, in this post-prior Carlin universe of comedians, that 97.8% of what he does is curse-free and is, sex and dirty thoughts free. Not that, look who you're talking to. Look who is talking to you right now. I don't particularly care, but at the same time, it's kind of neat to put on a comedian and be like, oh my God, he's funny. And he's not doing, he's not being disgusting, he's not being all sorts of, maybe he'll be disgusting with us. Maybe we can get that out of him. That'll be my, Howard Stern had always this quality, still does, of pulling the most amazing truths out of guests and just bringing the conversation to the most embarrassing, disgusting personal things, and they're just like giving it up. Maybe my thing is to take a relatively clean comedian and just make him turn into Bob Saget off camera. Just make that happen. So Tom Papa going to be with us in the Daverhood today on this episode. Papa, can you hear me? Of Dave's Gone By. But we called the last episode Just a Matter of Time, because literally a week ago it was we hit that day in America where 1.4 million people in a day tested positive for coronavirus, most likely Omicron, 90-something% Omicron. But it was just like, we're throwing up our hands because we're terrified of it. We don't want to get it. And it's just like, you know what? It's just a matter of time before every man, woman, child, dog, parrot, ferret, cockroach, and you stick a little probe in its nose, and it's going to turn up positive for this thing. And wouldn't you know, where I work, a person who was in last week and has been quite careful with his masking around us and his being very, keeping away from people, and has been real good about it. Wife gets it. Next day he tests, he gets it. Minor flu, he's fine. My boss gets it. He's out, minor flu. But, everybody's getting it. Everybody's getting the COVID stomp. So I get tested again. Third test already in the past few months, because my school district is very cool. Once a week, they actually bring the testing people to one of their buildings so you can go in and get her done. So I'm like, okay. They're like old friends. It's like, I'm back. And they're looking at me because most of the time they figure, some asshole who's unvaxxed or something. I'm double vaxxed and boosted. And yet I'm going because I'm possibly exposed to these other people that I work with, and they have tested positive, so I'm scared. And I go in, and they go like, woot, 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 which is so much better than that first test they gave me, which they turned around in 10 minutes. But it was like they put an iron pipe up into my brain. That first one, it was supposedly the rapid. It was like, and I'm like sneezing for 5 minutes after the test, sitting there. It was outside at that point. And it was going, how am I doing? Well, I don't know if I have COVID, but I think I've got brain damage and pneumonia now. I was fine, and I tested again, and I was pretty. I wouldn't say I was sure, but I had been tired last weekend. I slept a lot, had a bit of a headache, and I'm like, okay, I must have it. I must have been having it. I hope I didn't spread it to anybody. And this is just it. And thank goodness, at least on the fact that other than being sleepy, I feel fine, and my wife feels fine. So maybe that's the worst of it. Maybe we've both been positive for a while and didn't know it, and that's the best possible outcome. So I go and they do, and they tell me, okay, and I said, great, and I'll have the results in 24 hours. So I'll know before tomorrow I even go into work whether I should go into work and whether it'll be contagious to anybody. So, no, it's like 3 to 5 days. Like, what is the point? What is the point if I don't know for like almost a week whether I have COVID or not, and I'm just going about my daily routine among colleagues who, by the way, at that point, everyone there had already gotten COVID. So if I was going to spread it to them, they were just going to get it again. But, I mean, what I say, it turned out, God bless them, they turned around the results in about 36 hours. So it took a day and a half. And then, miracle of miracles. What was it? Yeah.
Cynthia Gold, is that Cynthia, your cousin?
No, that's Shub.
Oh my God, I'm confused.
Well, hello, Cynthia Gould, yeah.
She said before some teachers just have burnout. She said
Half her school is home with the vid. No, yeah, no, I mean, we get the letter from the superintendent every day. 2 kids in this building, 5 kids in this, 1 staff member.
It is her. Yeah. She said it's me.
Oh, Gold? Was that your maiden?
Your cousin.
Yeah, I'm saying, was Gold her maiden name?
I don't know. Ask her why her name is different.
I'm asking her literally to the camera as we speak. Why? Cynthia. Hello, Cynthia. Glad you're watching.
Incognito. Not so much now.
Well, thank you for watching. So we've been wanting to get you and Jeff back on the show, but with your stuff, remember they moved to Las Vegas, and then she had to come back to New York to teach.
They moved to Arizona.
Oh, maybe I'm sorry, Arizona.
I don't know where.
Yeah, they thought they were all set, retirement, and then New York State told her, "No, wait, you're not quite done with us yet." Wow. And so it's just been like with everybody else, it's a mess.
Oh, she said she hadn't seen him in 5 months.
Wow.
I mean, that's really social distancing to the extreme.
Yeah, you're 2,000 miles away from your spouse. That's social distancing. Are you enjoying it? No, just kidding. So anyway, so for the moment, as of Monday morning at 8 a.m., I'm COVID free, right? I don't know about Monday morning at 8:15 or Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday or Friday, but for the moment, and it seems they're saying that the curve has peaked, that we've hit the worst. We're still really, really super insanely high, even in New York, where we're all so careful and so forth. But the absolute worst may be in terms of incidences, and also that if this follows the pattern that it has been following, it's going to curve down real quick. So we're going to have another maybe 2 weeks where just a lot of people getting it. Maybe not going like this, but going like this, and then kind of as it gets done. And what did I say a year ago, like 15 months ago? What did I say about this disease? No matter what the CDC was saying about it, no matter what anybody, I said it has its own way about it. It takes its suitcase and it says, I'm going to go here for a while. This is the disease's thing. Doesn't matter what Fauci says. Doesn't matter what the Republicans say. Disease goes, I'm going to the Midwest.
No. That's what epidemiology is, David. Epidemiology says the virus will look for the weakest link, infect them, and kill them, and then mutate and go back to other people. That's epidemiology.
Yeah, right. But the way it has worked is it'll go to a place and we'll scratch our heads and like, my God, they're spiking in. And when we come up with reasons why it's spiking, particularly in Florida, or the governors are idiots. They're letting people go on mask. They're not having mandates. They're not doing this. And obviously, of course, it's going to spike over there, and it does. And it spikes and spikes, and then it picks up its little suitcase when it feels like it's done. When it's hit as many people as it suddenly feels like, it hit its lotto number of amount of people that it's killed or infected. I'm like, where am I going to go now? I think I'll go down south to the southern states. And it stays there for 2 months and wreaks incredible havoc. And meanwhile, the place that just left gets all better, and then they start unmasking, they start living life more normally, because just because. And then it goes back. Oh, we haven't hit New York in a while. We'll trundle back, and that is exactly how the disease has behaved. I'm not saying, in no way am I a scientist. In no way am I an epidemiologist. And in no possible way. I'm just saying I called it. That's all. Just by sheer guess, or by sheer looking at the way this ridiculous thing worked. Israel somewhat seemed to eradicate it, and then 9 months later, Israel was a focal attack point again. Other countries in Europe, they had a handle on it, and then suddenly they were down to like 0 cases, and they were like that for months, and then suddenly, as the COVID goes, oh, I think I'll take a boat trip to Europe, and they're going and it finds a place that had no cases, and suddenly puts them on the map again. That's just the way it's been, and then with any luck, the way it will be as COVID turns to Omicron, and Omicron turns into something that's even less deadly.
It's funny. She said, "Can you tell her the virus's itinerary?"
I can't. The virus has a secretary. If you can't reach the secretary, it never picks up the phone. But the secretary has the virus's itinerary. It knows that Venezuela is coming in March and April, and then it's going to take a little stop on its tour, and then it's planning a very, very just little spot tour in 2023. I don't think it's really spent a whole heck of a lot of time in Spain. It's going to go there. Might actually go to parts of the Dakotas. But it's kind of tired of touring at this point. It's been touring nonstop for almost 2 years. COVID needs a break. Needs to settle down, get with its wife a little bit, hang with the kids. So, we will see. We will see. Anyway, it's 9:27 in the AM morning here, Eastern time in the Daverhood. You're watching Dave's Gone By with me, Dave Lefkowitz, my darling wife, Joyce, and in just 2 or 3 minutes are, I will say them, regular guests of the week coming to play our weekly Today, Yesterday trivia game, because these are things that we do on pretty much every episode of the show. We have a guest, usually. We've got Tom Papa coming in about an hour. We also do our Greeley Crimes and Old Times segment, which is a lot of fun, taken literally from the pages of the Greeley Tribune newspaper. We'll explain later. Our Colorado Limerick of the Damned, where we will be going to Tyrone, Colorado. There is a place called Tyrone, Colorado, and I've written a very short poem about it, which I will share late in the program, our Limerick of the Damned. If there's time, I might do a Dave's Big Dictionary. Not so sure. I don't think I think we're going to be pretty busy even without it. So, ladies and gentlemen, however, we move now into a segment of the program called the Today, Yesterday quiz. And this is a lot of fun. It's a history trivia quiz, kind of ridiculous because it's on this program, where we have 3 panelists who play the game. It's a trivia game. I ask them questions, and they try to win. Very often, David Sheward wins. Sometimes it's Leslie Hoban Blake, and I'm not sure if the guest who's logging on as we speak has won yet. I'm going to ask him, as a matter of fact, because logging on into the Daverhood is the playwright and television writer. He was with us on our New Year's program, and now he's back, ladies and gentlemen. Won't you please welcome, unmuting to the Daverhood, the one, the only, John Pielmeier. Hello, John. Unmute. Make sure. Let me ask you to unmute there.
There. How's that? Can you hear me now?
I certainly
Okay,
can hear you now. How you doing, John?
I'm great. How are you? Happy New Year.
Happy. It doesn't feel like the New Year's was already like 100 years ago. This country. It's like.
How was the rabbi?
Thank God. Rabbi does not have COVID. His gonorrhea is slowly clearing up. It takes a long time with him, but
Okay.
but the drips have stopped. So this is
Good. That's good.
So have you done anything? It's been 2 weeks into the new year. Have you done anything fun, or have you just been writing away?
Well, since the new year,
Yeah.
I've been I spent a lot of time putting together a Lego kit that my wife gave me for Christmas. So
Okay.
that took up a lot of my creative energy, with
Did you ask her for that, or did she just want
she
you out of her hair?
I actually specifically told her not to get me any Legos. She gave me one last year that I thoroughly enjoyed putting together, but it was so compelling that I got scared about addiction, you know? So I said, please don't give me one this year, but she did anyway.
There you go. So what is it about? Is it a Zen thing? I never got into the whole Lego.
Well, the two, I've only done it twice. And they were sort of what Lego, I think, describes as adult kits, meaning they're a little complex for kids. But one was I should have, if you can hold on, I'll bring you the one I just did. I'll be right back.
Please. Yeah.
You'll get a kick out of this.
Remember, don't hold on, let go. I'm Dave Lefkowitz, by the way. We're talking with John Pielmeier. We're waiting for our regular weekly friends. Let me just text them. Well, and let me also tell you that you're watching Dave's Gone By, and you can find old episodes of the show at davesgoneby.com. This is the archives going all the way back to our very first episode back in 2002. And let me just text them to tell them, to remind them. They're probably sleeping. Here we go.
This is
Whoa!
It's a typewriter.
Yes,
that actually sort of works. You can kind of do that and press the keys.
Oh my God.
That's amazing.
It's quite amazing.
And how big were the pieces of putting that together?
Oh, it's various size. They're all different sizes. Some were this big, some were smaller than your little fingernail.
My fingernail. Oh my.
Yes.
How long did it take you?
I spread it over about 4 or 5 days.
Sure.
Because I'm gonna put this down. It takes a certain amount of concentration, and then you don't want to do it when you're tired, because when I'm one of those kids who was incredibly frustrated and impatient when I was a child of putting models together with glue, and would end up with pieces stuck to my fingers and my fingers stuck to each other, and nothing ever turned out as perfectly as I wanted it to. So
that would happen to me.
This is much easier. This is at the same time, all you got to do is follow instructions. It's really very easy. It's just there's just a lot of work to them. There must have been hundreds of pieces to put that together.
But do you have a map? Does it give you?
Yeah, they said it's so well. It's so well designed. That's what I admire about them. They're incredibly well designed and well made. There's no glue involved. Everything just fits together perfectly.
Snaps, those little holes.
It all snaps together, and it's all visual instructions. There's no written instructions. It's all visual.
Does that appeal to a part of your brain that isn't the writer? So like when you write, you got words.
Maybe.
Words. Yeah.
Yeah, totally it does, because it's sort of kind of like jigsaw puzzles. I also enjoy doing a jigsaw puzzle once in a while.
Yeah, no, I
it's
get
a
that.
whole different bunch of muscles that are being exercised, and I like that.
And in a jigsaw, though, there's no instructions except you're still glancing at what it's supposed to look like.
Well, I always hide the picture.
Really?
Yeah, because so I can be surprised as it goes along.
Whoa. This is why you've written mysteries and things like that.
I guess. I don't know. It's a little more of a challenge, but I just love to just sort of, and it's all about shapes and colors anyway. It's not so much about the overall picture.
That's true. Now, speaking of, we're getting a clear picture of our other guest here, one of our other guests. David, please unmute yourself as you join the Daverhood on this Saturday morning, January 15th. David Sheward, please say hi again. You must know. We played with John Pielmeier before.
Yes.
John Pielmeier, the playwright.
Yes, that's right. I remember.
Agnes with God, television writer. David Sheward, who is a theater critic for TheaterLife.com, CulturalWeekly.com. Well, of course, David Sheward. I don't know if you knew this, John, but David, like 2 days before Christmas or 3 days before Christmas, was walking to school, like last day of teaching before the break, and he was crossing a car, just went bam and smashed 6 of his ribs. So
Oh
how
my
the hell-
God.
Yeah, how you look great, Dave. How you doing?
Well, better. I'm feeling better. I'm still, dealing with issues of pain, and I get tired very easily.
That's everyone in America.
Did they apologize?
Yes,
Did they say oops? A little
Yeah.
handwritten oops.
Yes. yes.
And I'm sure there's going to be some. I don't know if there's legal thing or it's just no fault, but you can't talk about that. But
Yeah.
but you have been home for like 2-3 weeks now, which is great.
Yes. Yes.
But you're not teaching yet, right? Or,
No, I'm still recovering. I'm still not able. I get tired very easily, and so we'll see.
why is it? I get the feeling like somewhere around June 25th, you're like, okay, I'm ready to teach again. I
Okay.
feel good today.
Okay, that's a joke. I don't want to,
Oh, I know.
In case my principal is watching.
And hello, principal. It is the principal of the thing. But ladies and gentlemen,
He's very dedicated to teaching.
yeah, David is, and your kid. What happens? I'm kind of curious because we have so many absences every day in our school district with kids leave, but also staff who are quarantining or out. I mean, do you have a regular substitute? They get day sub people. What are they doing with your classes?
I'm not there, so I can't address that.
Oh, okay.
I'm at home recovering from my injuries. I don't know too much about what so I can't address that.
Okay, yeah, I was just curious because I always wonder, like, it's not like 1 or 2 teachers are absent where I work. It's like there's a list every day. And I know how many substitutes we have and how many we don't have. And I'm like, what are they doing? Who deals with it? It's the homework teacher just stay the whole day. So I should probably ask that where I am. Anywho, speaking of absent people, we're waiting for Leslie Hoban Blake to also join us. I know it's early for her and whatever else, but let's give the rules and then we can start kind of the game.
Mhm.
So, I didn't get up the roll of die window, but first of all, welcome. Thanks so much for coming to play the Today Yesterday quiz on Dave's Down By. We're going to move through it pretty quickly because we have our guest coming at 10:30. So we're going to get through as much of the quiz as we possibly can. It's a trivia game, and each question is worth 2 points if you get it right. I just lost. Oh, there's my window. If you get it wrong, there's no penalty, but the other person gets to steal. So may I ask John Pielmeier, since you're the fairly relatively newish guest, can you pick a number between 1 and 6 and say it out loud?
Okay. 4.
John with a 4, David Sheward with a
3.
David with a 3. Okay, we're going to begin the game, and with the hopes that Leslie will join us as soon as she can. So I'm gonna roll it. Oh, open this up to roll it. Thank you. No, I think I'll go to another website. That didn't work. What's the matter with this thing?
You could actually do an actual real die if you had one.
I could, and then I would spend half the game going on the floor because it would keep
Yeah.
rolling off the table.
Or you could just pretend to throw a die and just make up a number and
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm so stupid. I would probably go 8, and it's no wait, no. It's not. So John, I actually did just roll a 4. So you get to decide. Would you like to go first, second, or potentially
I'm
third?
gonna use your Amazon gift card. I'm gonna get more masks. Okay.
Go for it. Yes.
I'll go second.
John Pielmeier going second. David Sheward, would you like to go first or third?
Well, I'll go first. I'll go first.
Great. Thank you, David. Thank you for doing that. So, David Sheward, are you ready for your first question in our today?
Sure.
30.
It was fantastic. Wow, I didn't realize that's great. Joyce is dealing with some gift card stuff that I got for the holidays from work. Okay. Here's your first question, David. And
Okay.
remember, almost all these questions have to do with something that happened on January 15th in history. Okay. This goes all the way back to 69 AD.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I think everyone in this room likes 69. So here we go. All hail Emperor Otho. After overthrowing Emperor Galba, Marcus Salvius Otho, former attendant of Nero, becomes Emperor of Rome.
Oh.
Which of these is true about Otho? A, he had his favorite eunuch put to death when he realized He wasn't actually a eunuch. B, he used to smear his face with moist bread so as not to grow a beard. C, just after a significant victory in battle, he was killed when he lost his footing and bounced down a hill. Or D, he married his wife, Poppaea, when she was just 8.
So which of these is false or which is true?
Only one of these is true.
Oh, okay. Now, Now, I thought Pompeia was married to another emperor, Nero, but maybe. So he smeared his. Okay, so he killed his favorite eunuch when he realized this character was not a eunuch. He smeared his face with bread, so a beard wouldn't grow.
Yep.
He bounced down a hill.
That's what he died after a victory. Yeah.
Or he married his wife Pompeia, who may have had the same name as another emperor when this chick was 8. So which of these is true?
Someone said this. Look.
I'll say usually you don't start off with an A, but you may be trying to play with my mind. I'll say that it is true that he killed his favorite eunuch.
Is that your final answer?
Sure.
Well, we're having a ball here on Dave's Gone By, but unfortunately, David, that is not the correct answer.
A good man is hard to find.
So we're going to
You always get the other kind.
Welcome, Leslie. Let me get through the question though. So
A good man is hard to bind.
since Leslie is first logging in, I'm going to give John the chance to steal first. So John,
Leslie is saying something, but we can't.
well, Leslie's muted, so unmute. I know.
Hello, Leslie.
John, so you.
Good morning, John.
Good morning, Leslie.
Good morning.
Hello, guys.
Well,
I just got help from the Zoom bolt. I did not know there was such a thing. It's a little like a Clippy, only it's for Zoom. It's called a bolt, and it helped me get on. I was not having any luck getting on. So,
well, that's
thank you to Zoom bolt.
Thank you so much, Zumbo. Now, John Pielmeier, we're in the middle of question 1. Do you need me to read the things again?
Okay, I don't need them read again, but if Leslie needs to hear them.
Have him show Leslie.
Well, are you going to? Is it your turn to answer, John?
Yeah, it's my turn to answer.
His turn to steal.
Then you'll just have 2 choices. And
Right, if he gets
go
it
ahead.
wrong.
I'm tempted to go with the beard one because it's so absurd. The logical one would be the marrying the wife at age 8, but when she was 8, but she was probably 6 when he married her. So that so I'm going to go with the beard.
Is that
That's what.
Well, I'm sorry.
That's what Rock Hudson said.
Oh, that's very good.
Whoa,
Final
that's
answer,
so
John?
funny.
Yeah, that's my final answer.
Well, it goes to show, John Pielmeier, you are very well bred. That is the correct answer about old Otho. John Pielmeier on the board with 2 points. Here's the deal. First of all, the eunuch thing. He had a eunuch named Sporus, and he got into a relationship with Otho during Otho's 4-month reign. That was the year of 4 emperors running Rome. So Otho was actually liked as a eunuch. Poppaea, it was that Poppaea, but she married her first husband when she was 14. Nero killed him, and then she married Otho.
Oh, so it was Nero's wife.
Yeah, it was the same Poppaea. And what happened was she then slept with Nero and divorced Otho. So she was just all over the map, that girl. Yeah. So not only, but Otho.
She's referenced in The Producers.
Yeah, when Nero jumped on Poppaea.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna jump on you. I'm not gonna jump on you.
Fell on my keys. All right, here we go. We have 2
Did
points.
the beard, but wait a minute, did the bread thing work?
No, he looked ridiculous. People were like, he thought it made him look better. He thought it wouldn't let his beard grow. He would just smear his face with wet bread every morning. That was the.
That's how I start my day. I don't know about anybody else. I just think it's a
I
great
think
way
that's
to go.
ridiculous.
That's probably why Poppaea was sleeping with someone else.
David
Welcome,
Sheward,
Leslie.
speaking of Rock Hudson, have you seen the Tab Hunter Confidential?
The documentary?
Yeah,
Yes, I did.
And
because my friend Sheila, who wrote the plays that we won awards with, won one of the dates with Tab Hunter.
Oh,
years ago. She has a photograph of herself with
Oh.
Tab Hunter. They used
Exciting.
to run contests because they didn't want people to think that he was gay. So
speaking of
they
beards,
ran contests to show him with girls.
Yes.
And
beards.
she's not the one in the documentary, but she has a photo
Oh,
of that. Anyway, I'm sorry. I
Anyway.
guess I'm third, right?
yes.
Not straight?
No, well, he's not. He's very straight now. He's stiffing in a casket, but back in the day. Anywho.
Well, his husband made the documentary, and I think it was a lovely tribute. I think it was a very honest and straightforward.
It's like both
very
Coca-Cola and
interesting.
God discontinued Tab. But anywho,
Oh,
okay, we got to run through that because we have to get through this
Yeah.
quiz. I do have
Okay,
to get
we don't
okay.
have a lot of time for what do you call them? Tangents.
So
Chit
Leslie,
chats. Okay, I'll
No
stop chit
tangents
chatting.
today.
Leslie, I do need you to pick a number between 1 and 6, please.
Well, are 6 and 2 still available?
Either one, yes.
I'll take 6 this week. Thank you.
Okay, Leslie, your boxcar, your half a boxcar, or however that works. Our next question, though, and Leslie, by the way, you're going third just because at this point.
Obviously.
So, second here's the deal. John, you can build on your lead. You have 2 points already. You can go up to 4 points if you get this question right. Are you ready?
I'm ready. So I have to go next. I go first on this question.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's how it works.
Okay.
Because David went first on the last question. You'll go
Okay.
first on this, and then Leslie goes on the third.
I get it. Okay, good.
But this is not a multiple choice, but you're a writer. You might be good on this one. Here we go. We go all the way to 1752. Among the authors attacking Henry Fielding in the so-called Paper War of 1752 is this Scottish poet and picaresque novelist whose own works included The Adventures of Peregrine Pickle and The Adventures of Roderick Random,
Oh, Stan said, oh, you started with
Man.
as well as a notable English translation of Don Quixote. Name that novelist.
Oh man. I guess I would have to guess Tobias Smollett.
Is that,
Probably wrong.
well, is that your final answer?
That's my final answer. Sure.
Hey, what's in your Smollett? That is actually the correct answer. Go, John Pielmeier, Tobias Smollett. Well done. Did you have that one, Leslie and Dave? It looked like you kind of. No.
No.
It was one of 2 that I was thinking of, but congratulations, John, because
Thank
not too
you.
many people would have
Who
known
was
that.
who was your other one?
Well, I was thinking Sir Walter Scott, but I think that was the wrong time period. So
Yeah.
I that's why I was confused.
I didn't realize that he was Scottish. So Smollett was Scottish. So
All right.
Yep.
Well, pour yourself a
I got
scotch
to
and
work
use
out
your
in mine, so it's early in the morning. That's the best I can come up with.
And thank you for joining us so early. Normally we go a little bit later with this, but I really appreciate all you guys coming in there. But
I'm still not awake. I started waking up at 7:30 for the show, just so you know, in increments, and I'm almost there.
So you're at 7:33 and a half at the moment. It's a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, that's just every 10 minutes I would push the snooze button. That's the problem.
That's what I do during the show. All right, here we go. Leslie Hoban Blake, you get the next question directly, the last question of our first round.
I do.
May ask
I
you a
do.
question. January.
And John's the man to beat at the moment, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
he's got 4
Yes.
points.
John's the man to beat.
a rare
Okay.
occurrence.
Any man who could build a typewriter out of Lego should win.
Wait till you guys missed this before you came on. He built a typewriter from
Did I
Lego.
show it?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes.
Okay, I'll bring in 2 seconds.
Is it out of Lego or is it a real typewriter?
No, it's
I mean,
100%
The
Lego.
Lego kit.
Amazing.
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
It comes in a kit?
It comes in a kit.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And,
That's
and I'll show you how it, you know.
And does it actually
can
work?
I mean, it won't. There's no ink in there. Will it type a page? You have a
There's a
Sarah?
ribbon in there. There's a
There's
typewriter
ribbon.
ribbon in
It's a
there.
fake ribbon, but it's
Oh,
Oh, it's
Wow.
not it won't really type. Oh,
it
okay.
doesn't
Well,
really
still,
type.
it's a
It
great,
just sounds like it does.
but it's a great occupation for a writer during a pandemic to build a typewriter. I
Wonderful.
think that's very on the money there. That's great.
So it's on.
How long did it take, John?
About 3-4 days. yeah, because I talked about this before you guys were
Okay,
coming on the air.
I'm trying not to go on tangents. Okay.
So here we go. Leslie Hoban Blake, January 15th, 1759 was the year. Okay. Speaking of picaresque novels, published in 5 countries simultaneously today is Voltaire's classic novel, Candide, or The Optimist.
Oh, you love that one.
Which of these is false about Voltaire and his work? Okay.
Okay.
A. Benjamin Franklin convinced him to become a Freemason. B. For the first 10 years of Candide's publication, Voltaire used the pseudonym Dr. Ralph. C. He did jail time for jokingly accusing King Louis XV of incest with his own daughter. Or D. A young Voltaire nearly lost much of his family's fortune on gambling and lottery tickets.
I love the way you put jokingly into quotation mark.
Which
Okay,
is false.
So I have jail time. Them again, please. I'm sorry.
Sure, of course. First of all, A. Well, which of these is false about Voltaire and his work? A. Benjamin Franklin convinced him to become a Freemason. B. For the first 10 years of Candide's publication, Voltaire used the pseudonym Dr. Ralph. C. He did jail time for jokingly accusing King Louis XV of incest with his own daughter. Or D. A young Voltaire nearly lost much of his family's fortune on gambling and lottery tickets.
I'm going to say the young Voltaire and the gambling.
Is that your...
Trevor just said you're the best.
Well, thank you, Trevor.
Also just said David Lefkowitz, you're the best. I said, Trevor, thank you for support.
Thank you so much, Trevor. I used to work with him at WGBB. Trevor's great. So, is that your final answer?
Yes.
Well, I wager you've been studying Leslie Hoban Blake, because that is
It's right.
the correct
Oh,
answer,
okay.
Leslie. Well done. In fact, here's the whole truth of that. So all the rest of the things are actually true. He did do jail time for making those accusations, and he was called Dr. Ralph. Here's the deal with the gambling, though. This is amazing. Voltaire and his friends, when they were younger, had a get-rich-quick scheme. They would buy up all the lottery tickets in a town, and since the tickets cost less than the actual prize, they would automatically win and split the take. And they all got very rich doing that. So it's sort of the opposite. The gambling made them quite rich.
They would be on American Greed.
Exactly. And it is kind of interesting that although he was jailed for telling the king or accusing the king of incest with his own daughter, Voltaire did have a thing for and possibly a long affair with his own niece. So
Hot coal in the kettle.
anyway, but
Did you ever go to that French restaurant? When we were in France, did you guys go to that French restaurant where Voltaire's desk is?
I think we did.
we probably did. If you guys went, we went. I don't.
No, we went on our own.
Oh,
We
maybe not.
picked it in our own time.
Did you eat
we all-
anything out of the drawers of the desk, or
Yeah,
was
we ate out of the drawers. It's not it's on display. You don't get to eat at the table. But it's a wonderful old wooden desk that's
David Trevor said he's on every Saturday with us.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, it's great to have Trevor and everybody watching the Dave's Gone By show, where we are playing the Today, Yesterday Trivia Quiz, which at the end of round 1 has John Pielmeier in front with 4 points, Leslie Hoban Blake right behind with 2, and David not yet quite on the board. But guess what, David, you get the next question. The first question.
Okay.
very quick recap for me, please. The
Yeah.
first 2
Oh.
questions, David, or either David, what letters were they?
B, and 2 was not a multiple choice, and 3 was D, right?
Oh, with D I got. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
So it's a B and a D.
Joyce,
Thank you very much.
David should get
We won't even go there.
Joyce
Oh,
said David should get some
indeed.
Dr. Sue points for
We
being
will not
injured
go there.
and plain hurt. So
Okay.
But
Go
yeah,
ahead.
we won last week without any help at all. So there you go. David,
Go ahead.
Yeah. The year 1797.
Uh-huh.
John Etherington walked down the streets of London today and caused quite a commotion. Why was that? Multiple choice. A, he was naked and promoting nudism as a lifestyle. B, he was walking a baby elephant to promote the arrival of a French circus. C, he was walking backward from the Tower of London to the British Museum. D, he wore a top hat the first Londoners had ever seen.
So which of these is true, right?
Only one of these is true.
Okay. It could be any one of them. That's very interesting.
What year again?
1797.
All right. So, naked, I don't know. Well, I don't know. Were they wearing top hats then? I think
he was
top
naked,
hats.
he could have worn the top hat. Interesting.
Naked and a top. I know he was naked, walking backwards, walking a baby elephants backwards, and the only thing he had on was a top hat.
There you go.
Now, it's not likely that it's a D, two Ds in a row, but it could be. And I think top hats became more in fashion during the Victorian age. So it's possible that it's the top hat. I'll say the top hat.
So is that your final answer?
Yes, it is.
Well, I'm going to cap that answer with a yay, because you are on the board with 2 points. It was no one had ever seen it. This strange man walking down the street with this big old hat. People were like gasping and gawping to take a look. True story. And then the top hat became the thing. So yay. We have what a game. John Pielmeier with 4 points. Leslie and David tied with 2 in our Today Yesterday quiz on this January 15th. The next question does go back to John Pielmeier. Okay, so John, this one, and I think you've done 1 or 2 of these before, but this isn't just your regular trivia question. This is 3 clues in the news. You get. Have you done this one before?
I don't think I have.
Okay. Well, get ready for more joy. So here's the deal. These are 3 separate words. They are not related to each other. But each of these words is related to the word that we are looking for. So it could be blank word or word blank. For example, couch, mashed, vegetable, and the word be potato or sweet, right? So sweet,
okay.
Potato this. Well, the word we're not looking for the word potato, we're looking for a different word. And the word is on some level in the news this week. All right.
Okay.
Here are the 3 words. Dog, safe, arrest.
Dog, safe, arrest. House.
Is that your final answer?
Yes, that's my final answer.
The wonderful thing about this quiz, it's the kind of thing where you think it, and then suddenly, ping, it'll come to you, and it came to you. That is the correct answer, John Pielmeier. Yeah, the word we were looking for was house, and the reason it's in the news?
I have no idea. I haven't watched the news this week. It's too depressing.
Well,
the thing with getting rid of the, what do you call it? I can't think of it now.
Filibuster?
The filibuster,
in the
right?
House, I didn't think of that.
Well, that's the Senate, not the House, but anyway.
Oh, well, all right.
But what is it?
That's what I know.
Bob Saget.
Oh, Bob Saget.
Oh.
You're on fire this morning, John.
But what's a house dog?
Doghouse.
Doghouse. Oh.
So what's Bob Saget? I don't know. Tell me.
He died.
The actor.
He died.
From
suddenly.
I know who he is. Oh dear, I'm sorry.
He was an actor on Full House and a comedian.
Yeah, I know him. I know who he is. I didn't know what was it.
America's Funniest Home Videos for a bunch of years.
And what is house safe?
Safe house.
Safe house.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Blank, remember, it's word blank or blank words. So.
Okay, I got it.
Did you say, David, that they have a reason why he died? I haven't seen the reason.
I haven't heard the cause of death yet, no.
Okay. But anyway.
Our colleague, Terry Teachout of the Wall Street Journal passed away.
Yes, I was stunned by that. Absolutely stunned.
65.
Yeah.
Same age.
Well, not just that, but he had just gotten engaged to that lovely woman that he was with, and that's just so sad.
Yes.
I mean, he had such a tough.
What did he die of? Do you know? Terry Teachout, what did he?
I think he had heart issues.
Yeah, because he wasn't old. He was like 65.
65.
65. Yes, he was 65.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, Terry Teachout.
Heart attack in his sleep.
Who said that?
Cynthia.
Really? Oh, I didn't know that. So, or was that? Is she talking about Saget or Terry Teachout?
think Terry Teachout.
Oh, so he was
I don't know.
the theater critic for the Wall Street Journal, for people who are tuning in and don't know who Terry Teachout was. Anyway, we got another question in our yesterday quiz. By the way, it's 10 o'clock. We're rolling through these. Yeah.
He was much more than simply a theater critic. He wrote books. He was a very well-versed pop culturist. He was not unlike our David Sheward, I mean, it wasn't like straight down the road with the.
And he did what we all really wanted to do, was in the past few years, he had a successful theatrical review, Satchmo at the Waldorf.
And he had another play that was coming up about Billy and Me, about Duke Ellington and Billy Strayhorn.
Oh.
It had not made New York yet, but it played Washington and got very good reviews.
So anyway.
So yeah, he was excellent at whatever he put his hand to, evidently,
Well, that's what
David, I'm glad to see you sitting up and dressed and obviously feeling better.
Feeling somewhat better, yes.
Yeah, you can tell in your demeanor. It's obvious. I'm a pain person, I know.
Yes, I'm still dealing with it, but
yeah. Although I have to say, even last week, David looked real good for considering what the hell happened to him.
But he wasn't dressed and he wasn't sitting up. He's sitting in a chair.
Not dressed.
Yeah,
I
was in bed last week.
There you go.
He was in bed last week.
I'd be in bed now, but the house is being cleaned.
Oh.
Aren't you lucky?
We have our next question to end the second round of our yesterday trivia quiz.
Pour moi.
Well, it's pour toi, Leslie Blake. You have 2 points, so you're 4 away from John, but you're tied with David. So here we go, and it is a multiple choice. Okay, this one's kind of a fun one. The year was 1927. Good news for John T. Scopes today. His conviction for teaching evolution was overturned by the Tennessee Supreme Court, albeit on a technicality. The law itself remained in place, but speaking of Scopes, makes me think of mouthwash. According to pediatricdentalcare.com, before the invention of Listerine, civilizations used many fluids as mouthwashes. All of these, in fact, but one. Which of these was not an actual mouthwash? A, crushed red ants. B, tortoise blood. C, human urine. D, goat's milk.
Now, my father was a dentist, but this didn't prepare me for this question. Red ants have poison. I mean, if they bite you, you die. So you're not going to, even if you crush them, I don't think you can get rid of the poison. So I don't think that's a good answer. Tortoise is a possibility when they made soup. Maybe they boiled the shell or something.
Just remember that, again, you got to keep in mind.
It's what's false. But I'm trying to come up with what's true.
Except one, right? Okay.
I'm going to go with red ants because of what I just said, rather than there's no reason for me to talk about any of the others. Red ants.
Okay. Final answer. And perhaps some ants. Well done, Leslie Hoban Blake. That is true. I thought maybe you would figure, because that was letter A. The crushed red ants was not true. I thought maybe, because it has a little bit of poison and it makes your mouth tingle and it feels good on your tongue, but no, I made that up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they gargle. So they did use urine.
Yeah, urine.
Sure.
Both human and
You used to use it on their face too. People still do use it on women still use it on their face. Some women in some countries.
That's why we call ourselves.
And some people drink their urine for health reasons. So
that was just on the news yesterday, believe it or not.
Really?
Yes. Yes, I swear to God, it was on. I thought that's why you brought that up.
I'm just making a face.
I wouldn't blame him.
I would love to write a musical about that. I think I'd call it The Whiz. But thank you.
Or Urinetown.
As opposed to Urinetown. Yes, that was the one that I would come up with.
Totally.
I'm drinking out of my Robin cup today, David. Can you see my Robin?
Oh.
You remember the Batman cups that McDonald's put out in the 80s?
Oh, okay.
I got 2 sets of them on eBay.
Oh.
So I have 2 wonderful sets of the 4.
I hope you're not, as long as you're not drinking your own urine.
Oh, God.
No.
No, can I say I'm drinking your in or, no, never mind. It's okay. It's,
You're
never
in
mind.
the money. You're
Yes.
in the money. Yeah, no.
You're in town and
Yes.
so am I.
Yes.
This is how we're all climbing the ladder of success, ladies and gentlemen. So
Oh,
here's the
this
deal.
is all what happens when you're in the house for too fucking long. Go ahead, please. I'm sorry.
So it's my turn, right?
It's your turn.
Right. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just taking the piss. So here's the deal. Let me just remind everybody: you're watching the yesterday quiz on Dave's Gone By, and the game so far is John Pielmeier in the lead with 6 points. Leslie Hoban Blake with 4 points. David Sheward, though, this next question, the first in our third round, belongs to him, and he can come right up there and tie Leslie if he gets it right. Now, Dave.
John, just so you know, twice he's come from that position and won, just so you know. So stay on your toes.
That's what you said last night.
I'm just going to let you make those jokes from now on, Dave, because you're as fast as I am. It's like she come from behind. Okay, got it. David Sheward, though, guess what? I know you love these. It's
Okay.
3 names in the news.
3 names in the news. Is this new?
You gotta find the name.
Oh, okay.
In the news, and then.
All right.
Okay.
Djokovic. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm trying to remember now why this is in the news. I've totally forgotten this, but okay. Here we go. What name? Oh, I know. What name am I looking for?
Okay.
These are names that will make you think of this missing name. So
Okay.
Enough. Wood. Corbett. Dio. D-I-O.
All right. So this is a first name?
Well, we're looking perhaps for a first or a last name.
You're looking for a name.
Yes.
All right.
Name.
All right. Well, there's John Wood, the actor, and but Corbett, the only thing that comes to mind with what was there an Eddie Corbett? Eddie Wood? Oh, Ed Wood. Eddie Corbett. I think there was Eddie Corbett. Okay, Ed or Eddie.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
I'm afraid you weren't able to get into my Ed on this one. Nope,
Okay.
That is not the right answer.
All right.
Haven't done this much today. I'm going to roll a die, and the die comes up a lovely number 5, which puts it actually right in between John. So I got to roll again. So let's see. Now we get a number 4, which is directly John's number. So John, you can really take a lead here.
Oh,
What name?
Oh,
that's in the news.
Corbett, Dio, and Wood.
Right.
Oh man, I have no idea. Can you spell Corbett for me?
Absolutely. C-O-R-B-E-T-T.
Corbett. Dio. Madre Dio. Madre. Okay, Madre.
Is that your?
That's my final answer.
No, you're going to be running home to mama with that one. That is not the correct answer at all. Leslie Hoban Blake, can you steal?
I've got only one name I can think of, and that's John.
Is that your final answer?
Well, we're looking for one name that fits all 3 of these, right? Yes, that's the name. That's the only name I can come up with.
Well, you can take your urine to the John, but not this particular answer. So the answer is, this is certainly a tough one. If I make it, let me add one more name in there, just for funsies. If I add in Corbett and Barker.
Monica?
I'm sorry?
Bob?
No.
What was the second name you said? Corbett and?
Barker.
It's Bob. Would it be
No,
Bob Barker?
Not Bob, no.
Monica?
Bob Barker?
Anybody know English comedy, English television? Corbett and Barker.
Oh, Ronnie?
There you go. Ronnie Corbett, Ronnie Barker, Ronnie Wood of the Rolling Stones, Ronnie James Dio, very famous guitarist. And who died?
A lot of people did. Who died? Who died this?
One,
Well, a lot of
one
people.
of these guys died
No,
this
no.
week?
The name we were looking
Oh,
for.
Ronnie Spector.
Ronnie Spector.
Oh,
Ronnie
Jesus.
Spector died.
Wow.
So
Okay.
yeah. Anyway, all right. That was a push. Sorry about that one, guys. I kind of made that one a little.
You know, when it said Corbett, I thought of Tom Corbett, Space
I
Cadet.
did
Wasn't
too.
that
I did
Tom
too.
Corbett? Yeah, that was one of my.
And there was the
Okay.
comedian Corbett Monica.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about him. Yes, okay.
But I was thinking of the two Ronnies, Ronnie Corbett and Ronnie Barker.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. We'll move on from that one. That question left a stink. All right, I'll do better with this one. Here we go. We still have the score hasn't changed. It's everybody.
Now it's John's turn,
Let's see. We are
I
in the
think
middle of
it's
the
my
third
turn.
round.
or is it whose turn is it?
No, it is. It is.
It's my turn. That was John's question.
Was it?
Oh, no, it wasn't. No, I'm sorry.
No, it
John
was
stole
my
it. But
question.
no, sorry.
It was my question because we all
It's your
tried it and
question.
nobody
Yeah,
got
yeah,
it.
yeah. You're
It's
right,
John's
you're
turn.
right.
It's John's turn. Yeah, it's John's turn.
Wait. Hold it. How
I
did
missed my question.
Oh, you were David. David goes first. John second. Right, right. John.
It's my
The year of
turn.
1970. The date was today, January 15th. Ending today, after 2.5 years, is the Nigerian Civil War, wherein Biafra tried to secede from Nigeria, was surrounded by military forces, and somewhere between 500,000 and 2 million Biafrans starved to death in the siege. But do you know you're Jello Biafra, co-founder and lead singer-songwriter for the punk band The Dead Kennedys? In their 1980s heyday, this controversial group released only 4 studio albums. Which of these was not a Dead Kennedys record? A. Plastic Surgery Disasters. B. Bedtime for Democracy. C. Fresh Fruit for Rotting Vegetables. Or D. Golden Shower of Hits.
Say that again. Golden
That was-
shower, what? Of hits?
Yes.
Golden shower of hits.
Yes.
Oh,
That sort of ties in with the last question, doesn't it?
It certainly does, yeah. Oh,
So quickly again, I
Sure,
think
okay.
I know my
yeah,
my
I
guess.
screwed up saying that. Which of these is not an album
Yes.
by
Okay.
the original Dead Kennedys? A. Plastic Surgery Disasters. B. Bedtime for Democracy. C. Fresh Fruit for Rotting Vegetables. D. Golden Shower of Hits.
I can't run and check my Dead Kennedy album collection, right?
No, that would be cheap.
No. I'm gonna go with the fresh fruit. No, wait. No, the second one, the democracy one. I'll
Bedtime
I'll
for
go with that.
Democracy.
It's the one. It's unsilliest one.
So, is that your final answer?
That's my final answer.
Well, I'm afraid we got to put that question to sleep because you didn't get it right. I'm afraid.
Okay.
That was a terrible pun. I don't even know. So, all right. Yes, Bedtime for Democracy was a Dead Kennedys album. We're going to roll the die and come up with a number 3. So number 3, who's there? That's David Sheward. David Sheward. Oh my
okay.
God, David, you can tie Leslie.
All right. So which of these is not a Dead Kennedy?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And so it's give them to me again.
Of course. A. Plastic Surgery Disasters. C. Fresh Fruit for Rotting Vegetables. D. Golden Shower of Hits.
Well, we've already had D twice, so I don't think we're going to have 3 Ds. So it's plastic surgery. We haven't had a C yet, but that may mean absolutely nothing. So plastic surgery disasters, and the golden shower of hits. So A is plastic surgery disasters, C is fresh fruits, rotting vegetables, and D is golden shower of hits.
Right.
I think it's golden shower of hits. I think you made that up.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like the way you're saying that, but okay.
Well, David, all I can say is oui. You are correct. Well, you're correct in your selection, but not in your thought process thinking, because I did not make that up. That is actually the title of a Circle Jerks album.
Oh,
with yellow lettering and
Of
everything.
a who album? Of which album?
The
Circle
Circle Jerks, which was another punk group.
I mean, what's
Yes,
horrible is
yes.
I've heard of these groups. I've never listened to their music, but I've heard of them.
Well, they're hardcore comedy punk, and sometimes very strong political punk also. So
And it was a third D, David.
Yeah, so we've had
bravo to you for letting go of your theory and just going with it, right?
Yeah, so it's 3Ds.
yeah, well,
yeah.
sorry, I'm testing my 3D.
Yes, I thought about that too. I
Yeah.
thought about that too, yes.
There we go. Anyway, we have, oh my
You gonna do the show in 3D, David? Can we get 3D glasses and do the show in 3D?
I wonder if we go there. Oh, look at that. Wow. Wow.
I don't think so.
Lost the lifeline.
He froze there for a second. I don't think that's a good idea.
That's how they do proctology exams during COVID.
Yes, right. Whoa.
Back
Look,
up
he's
the
coming
screen.
at you. The pen is coming right at you. Whoa.
So here's the deal. I'll tell you what's coming at you. We have a game that John Pielmeier is still winning, 6-4, right? With one more question left in the regular round before we get to our tiebreaker if we need it, or even if we don't. So this is really interesting. If Leslie gets this question, we'll have a tie. If she doesn't get it, David Sheward will also, and he gets it, he'll have a tie. Or if it goes ultimately to John and he gets
He
it,
puts it away.
win immediately. So this is a big, whoa. Are
It's
you
earth shattering.
Yeah, here we go. So, Leslie, are you ready?
Ready.
The year was 1997. NBA.
97?
I saved this question for last. I love this. 1997. NBA hijinks as the Chicago Bulls played the Timberwolves at Minnesota's Target Center. Bulls forward Dennis Rodman injures his ankle and, in anger, kicks a cameraman in the groin.
Oh.
Rodman remains perhaps the most eccentric player in the history of the sport. For evidence, the following, taken from vulture.com. Only one of these is not true about Dennis Rodman. Which? A writer from Sports Illustrated, once followed Rodman to a strip club where he talked the athlete out of committing suicide. B, on 3 separate occasions he broke his penis. C, he was fined $50,000 for cursing out Mormons. Or D, during a game, he once got behind the mascot of the San Antonio Spurs and started humping his or her butt. Only one of these is not true.
These all sound like titles of punk rock albums.
I know, right?
Indeed. So it's strip suicide,
Right.
penis 3 times broken, $50,000 about Mormons, and humping
A
a
mascot from,
mascot.
Yeah, they do
right,
sound
okay.
like albums or short story titles.
Where was the writer from again? What publication?
Sports Illustrated.
That's important to know. Okay.
Didn't Roald Dahl write James and the Broken Penis?
Cynthia said.
Oh, what writer is that?
Roald Dahl wrote that. Yes. All right, hush up now. Hush. The only one that doesn't sound like he would have done it is the Mormons, because I think he actually has a thing about religion, believe it or not. So I'm going to go with C, that is false, that he was not fined any kind of money for doing anything about Mormons.
Is that your final
Yeah, why not? And we haven't had a C yet, so.
Hello, my name is Elder Dave, and Leslie just got this question wrong. No, that is not. He actually did. He said something like, "I didn't realize it was like a religion thing." I'm like, okay, whatever. He was fined $50,000. Oh, that Dennis Rodman. So we're gonna roll the die. This is big. This is big. This is gonna be like the game here.
Okay, good luck to both of you.
Thank
Here
you.
comes a number 1. All right. Number 1, which is closest to David Sheward.
Okay.
So
it's Suicide Strip Club, 3 Broken Penises, or Humping the Mascot, which are all the titles of my next album.
3 broken penises, 3 broken penises. See how
Three
this goes?
broken penises. Now I
On
don't
the
see how you
first day of Christmas, my true love gave to me.
3 broken penises and a suicide in a strip club. All right. So is it the suicide strip club? I mean, that sounds true. That's not quite weird enough to be false or whatever. The suicide in the strip club. So which of these is false, right?
Only one of these is not true.
And I don't think we're going to have 3 Ds, 4 Ds. And he
Famous
probably
last
did,
words.
he probably did hump the mascot. So I'm going to say the broken penises. He probably only had 4 broken penises, so 2.
Probably only 2.
Penis.
So okay, so you're going with that one.
Yeah.
Got an answer?
Yeah, it's my final answer.
Well, I know this game is hard, but he wasn't able. That actually is not the correct answer, David Sheward. So,
Oh.
my goodness.
Oh,
How
wow.
can you break a penis anyway? I don't get that.
Well, I will tell the whole story as soon as
How you can injure it.
Well, if you don't know, I can't help you out.
I can see how you could injure it, but I don't know how you could break it. But anyway, go ahead.
No, there's
So
yeah.
it's up to me.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll go with D.
You're saying it is false that he once got behind the mascot of the San Antonio Spurs mascot.
Correct.
Humping his.
Yeah, that's my guess.
Well, John Pielmeier, I've got to say, you have won even if you've gotten that wrong, you have already run enough points to win the
Wow.
game. But you got that right.
Wow.
He did not get behind the mascot of the Spurs.
Oh.
He did
It was another mascot.
headbutt it. He did do that one time, but he didn't hump it from behind. But before we get to our tiebreaker question, I do want to share this.
Wait. So you stumped us? Is that the idea?
No, he got it right.
No, John Pielmeier.
He got it right.
Oh, you
Got it
did
right.
get it right. Oh,
Yeah.
I thought you said he got it right, and then I thought you said he got it wrong.
And we've
Okay.
got 4 Ds. And there are 4 Ds, so that thing just goes out the window.
And it's 4D, so there goes the
Right.
whole theory. I know David's been very careful to break that theory apart. I know. Come up
So
with a
let
new
me tell you
theory,
a couple-
David.
Well,
And don't tell Dave Lefkowitz. Just text it to me, okay?
Oh, okay.
Fair enough. Let me, because this is just worth sharing. Okay. Rodman, by the way, when he kicked that guy in the groin, he was suspended for 11 games and was settled out of court for $200,000. So if you want to pay me $200,000, you can kick me anywhere. But here's the deal. This is but what's kind of really interesting, and Rodman says about the incident, is that at that time the cameraman that he kicked was going through a nasty divorce, and he was being jailed for domestic abuse. So it's a real big But here's the deal. This is a quote from Viceland.com. Quote, the first time that Dennis Rodman suffered BPS, broken penis syndrome, was on a cruise when
I'm sorry.
his girlfriend suggested he, quote, run and jump into my pussy. According to Rodman.
Glad you said this was a direct quote, David. I wouldn't want to think you spoke that way in real life. Go ahead.
It's actually clearer than he speaks in real life.
Oh my God.
Did he
Rodman
miss?
said he heard a crunching sound. And there was blood everywhere.
Oh, the putty tat.
Oh, she's screaming and screaming. Oh my God, he's dead, the girl said. I said, quote, no, honey. I'm sorry. I said, quote, no, honey, I just broke my dick.
Oh, putty, you're a whack.
And the second time, Dennis Rodman broke his penis.
Yes, it was the next day when he tried it again.
Well, it was a little while longer. He
He was
described
going to
it
keep
as
doing it till he got it right.
Yes. And unfortunately, the third time was not the charm either.
But he did describe the second time he broke his penis. He said it, quote, looked like a fucked up carrot.
Does he name any of the women involved in this? Who was the girl who asked him to jump in her?
In his autobiography, I think he does. I don't have
No thanks, Doc. Don't want that carrot.
anywho. Are we all ready for our tiebreaker? Because we got about 5 minutes to do it. So
Sure, just for the fun of it. Congratulations, John.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mayor.
I'm surprised and astonished, and thank you.
And pleased as punch, I
I
hope.
thank, especially by a smollett. That's
Yes.
my really thank.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, do you all have pen and paper? Or something to write with and
Yes.
something to write
Yeah.
on? Real
Yeah.
quick.
See, David, look, it's 3D. My pen is 3D. See,
Well,
there it is. That's my,
We're in 4D this week.
Your pen
Yes,
looks like a fucked up carrot,
absolutely.
Leslie. I know.
Well, it looks like a effed up carrot.
so 4D has to be on the phone, right?
Or that's G, not D, or something like that. Anyway,
I know it is.
you
That's the
tried.
closest I
You
can come.
tried for the comedy.
Ahem.
Went for it. Here's the question, ladies and gentlemen. It was January 15th, 1993. This is not a multiple choice. We're just going to need an answer. Ending its 9-season run tonight on NBC is this nighttime soap opera set on the West Coast and following the saga of the dysfunctional Capwells. Name.
Cynthia asked, did something turn orange? Maybe the penis?
Oh, yeah, like the camera. Name the show that launched a pre-pen, pre-princess Robin Wright.
Okay, read it. Say that again. Give it.
Sure. The date was 1993. Ending its 9-season run tonight on NBC, this nighttime soap opera set on the West Coast and following the saga of the dysfunctional Capwells. Name the show that launched a pre-pen and pre-princess Robin Wright. I'll give you another couple of seconds. Okay. I'll get my little snail barine here. So, have you all written? Are you all ready?
We've written something.
We've written something.
And Leslie, she seems like smiling-ish, so we'll see. Here's the question. I'll give a 3, 2, 1, and then hold your answers, please, up to the camera. Ending its 9-season run tonight on NBC in 1993, this nighttime soap opera set on the West Coast following the dysfunctional Capwell family. Name the show that launched a pre-pen, pre-princess Robin Wright. 3, 2, 1. Okay, I see Suicide at the Simclads of Afterlax.
Strip club
Well, so that is not correct.
or
John-
Falcon Crest.
Oh, it could have been Falcon Crest. I don't know. I don't watch these. This is the only West Coast name I could come up with.
Well,
Sounds good.
but John, what are you holding up? I can't see you.
The Robin Wright Show.
The Robin Wright Show. There you go. I think you're thinking of the Robin Bird Show, ladies and actually, but Leslie,
Was it
Hoban, wait. Yes, Saints Alive. You got it. It was
Oh.
Santa Barbara. Well done.
Is that on
Leslie
prime
Hoban.
time?
I never watched it. I just know the name and I know it's West Coast. But then I thought you said Falcon Crest. I thought, oh, that must be it.
Was
No.
was that on nighttime?
Yeah, it was a nighttime.
Oh.
It was a spin-off from something else, and I never watched the something else either. So
Oh, I thought that was daytime, but okay.
Yeah. So let me, and I apologize for kind of rushing you a little bit, but I do want to say first
Sure.
of all, John Pielmeier, what can we watch of yours that is currently either on TV or what are you working on?
My gosh, I don't know. What am I working on? I'm working on.
man just made a typewriter. Leave him alone.
Yeah, I just made a typewriter. Now I got to write something on that typewriter. I'm waiting for COVID to come to sort of ease up until I know. I just finished. I'm sorry, a new play that had a production at Stages Theater in Houston in October. It was an adaptation of my novel Hook's Tale that went very, very, very well. I was
Oh,
very,
good.
very pleased with that.
So
Okay.
yay. And John, thank you very, very much for being
Thank
with
you
us.
for
David,
asking me.
Sure.
Congratulations again.
David Sheward, you are writing theater criticism for theaterlife.com, culturaldaily.com. You also have a blog at the David Desk. Very quickly, what
Well, I've just been writing on my blog and for Theater Life, just updates on what's going on Broadway, on all the shows that are closing and going on hiatus and hopefully will come back. and I did a tribute to Betty White on the Carol Burnett show, her appearances on the Carol Burnett show.
That's on the blog. That's on
Yes.
the David desk.
Yes.
And Leslie Hoban Blake, we can watch you on Critic Circle on the YouTube channel with Charlie Gross. I know Charlie, had a death in the family, so probably a week or two it's been.
We're on hiatus, and I haven't done anything except I discovered in the Night Garden a British children's show by the same guy who did Teletubbies. It's unbelievable. If you want to unplug and not watch the news, watch In the Night Garden. It's on Tubi, and its
Not
characters are
That was too bright.
anyway. Just In the Night Garden. Go find it. It's unbelievable.
Okay, Leslie, John, David, thank you so much. Thank you for playing. Thank you, John, for winning. Yay!
Thank
Everybody,
you,
give
Daniel.
kisses and-
Congratulations,
Bye-bye.
John.
Thank you.
Nice to see you all.
Very nice to see you. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Happy Martin Luther King weekend.
Indeed,
Yeah,
me too.
yeah,
Get an extra day off, David.
true. All right, and Leslie, gotta let you go.
Bye, sweetie.
Bye-bye. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a rabbi to bring in, as well as comedian Tom Papa on Dave's Gone By. Do not go away. You're not going to miss this.
I'm here to tell you, if you are married, you win. Yeah, you win. If you're single right now, the hell you are going through, it's impossible not to wish that you were married. You can tell who's on a date because you're all dressed up. You put dippity-doo in the hair. You care. You can tell who's married because they just cover up and walk out of the house. And if your woman complains, you're like, I'm out. I'm out. What more do you want from me? There is so much more freedom when you are married. I'm telling you, you can do anything. You don't have to be polite anymore. If my wife is cold, shut the damn window. And I just yell back at her, I'm doing it. And we're not even fighting. We're just communicating in a timely fashion.
Oh, my friends, we are communicating in a timely fashion here in the Daverhood on the Dave's Gone By Facebookio, Podcastio, Programmio of the stream. And we have a funny person with us, ladies and gentlemen, in the Daverhood. Let me tell you a little bit about this man that you are looking at, who's got his whole podcasty thing, because he's done so many podcasts over the years, but mostly you can see him. He's a veteran comedian. He hosted 2 seasons of NBC TV's The Marriage Ref, including one panel, we got to talk about this, included Larry David, Ricky Gervais, and Madonna. He's also, let me tell you about this man. Steven Soderbergh says, quote, Tom Papa has spun his meaningless life into comic gold. If only I could, ladies and gentlemen. He's got a couple of books out, including You're Doing Great, which is also a Netflix special. He does a podcast with Fortune Feimster called What a Joke with Papa and Fortune. And he's even got videos about making bread. Ladies and gentlemen, let us break bread, or in this case, matzah, with Tom Papa. Shalom, Tom. How are you? Oh, wait. Hold it. I'm not hearing you. You're not muted, and I don't have you muted. I don't know why I cannot hear you. Uh-oh. Hold it. Oh. Shalom? Maybe it's me. No, it's not me. Hello? Yappy. No?
Tell him he can unplug the earpiece and just do ambient.
Can you maybe unplug the thingy and do the ambient and shout in the street, and maybe we can hear you with a megaphone?
Or raise the volume on his computer. Ask him to raise the volume on his
Can you
computer.
maybe raise the volume on your computer? He's trying. I see his lips moving.
Do that way.
Oh, what did you just do?
Oh, I left my big fancy podcast headphones that my Sirius XM gave me and just went to the computer.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Sirius XM there. You can. Tom Papa,
They don't know what they're doing. Nice to see you. Shalom.
Thank you for joining us. We've been watching your Netflix specials. They're hilarious. They're wonderful. So we have so many questions for you, but we also want to tell people this is very important. You must be in New York right now because tonight you're going to be, or maybe you're in New Jersey at the moment, because tonight you're at the New Jersey Performing Arts Center. So
Yes.
get your tickets and go.
Yes, I'm very excited. 2 shows in Newark. This is the theater where I recorded and filmed you're doing great, which is almost 2.5 years ago now.
Now, do you really? Here's the deal. I mean, you're making. Do you honestly believe that people are, or it's like a comic premise, and you've got to follow it through? And meanwhile, we're all just doing miserably.
Well, no, I do think that message is that it holds. I think that people get into. There's definitely more challenges now than when I wrote it, but I believe that people have an expectation of what life is going to be, and they think that they're never good enough and they're never doing enough, and they're working really hard, and they feel like, but what is the end? Where's the finish line? And when am I going to be great? When am I going to be doing great? And the reality is, if you stop and open your eyes and you look around, you are already doing great. You're doing great right now. If you're up and you're alive and you can go to work and you can help your family and you can have a couple laughs, that is doing great as a human being. All the rest is just what's been sold to you, and it's a distraction that you're already there.
But here's the thing: you are lucky enough to be doing the job that millions of comedians, millions that would love to have, making a very good career. So you quite literally are doing great in the way that so many other people think that they aren't. Do you factor that in? That, hey, I do podcasts and comedy for a living. I am doing great. Let me tell everybody else they're doing really well too.
I feel like I've felt this way since my grandparents taught me to have a good perspective on life. When my grandparents said, we are here together, we get to hug each other, here, let's share some food, have a great, this is what life is about. Stop your complaining. You're doing great. I was taught that since I was just about to be able to walk. And I think that they were right. I think ultimately they were correct. It's not about running around, because, you think as a young comic, you think, oh, I'll be doing great when I get a special. I'll be doing great. That's work. And there's always more to do. And and you're never satisfied. And as soon as the one thing's done, you've got to keep going to the next thing. And the problems get bigger, all that stuff. That's not what life is about. Life is about doing the job. Life is about writing the material. Life is about telling the jokes to 5 people or 10 people or 1,000 people.
In my case, 3 people, 3.5.
In your case, 3 people, exactly. And you are doing great. Look at you.
Now, we have a question from the gallery.
Can you ask him if he ever got a male pet?
Oh, in your life, did you ever have a male pet? Because you're always joking.
Woman, yeah.
You're always joking that you have, female cats at home. And did you ever have a boy pet?
We now have a pug. During the pandemic, my daughter adopted a rescue pug, and his name is Frank. He's the first male that we've had, and he's urinating everywhere.
You know what? I'm 57, so do I. It's just, I can't help. But he's marking the turf. You're lucky he's not cowering in a corner. He's not running away from the cats going, they're just talking all day. No.
With the amount that this dog has peed all over the house, I could do with some cowering.
Now, are you able to live, are you in the coast? Where do you?
I live in Los Angeles now.
Do you like it? Or do you miss New York or Jersey or?
I do miss New York and New Jersey. I lived here my whole life, and I miss the people. The people here are funnier. There's so many more characters. Just everyone from your dry cleaner to the guy that works in the deli to the woman across the hall. It's like, you don't have that in LA. You have beautiful mountains, and you have it's 70 degrees there right now. That's an easier way to live for sure. And it's made me a little soft. And my worry is maybe, I don't know if I'll be able to come back.
Wow. But you can be funny in Los Angeles. You can still think of funny stuff. You don't have to be running around New York like, God damn, the subway's late. And
yeah, no.
Funnier, but still.
Yeah, you still get it for sure. I remember, I think New York is important. I don't think it could be out of my life. I'm here almost once a month, so I get a good dose of it. But I did think that early on that you had to be in New York to have some angst to be able to be funny. But I think maybe early on that was true when you're finding your way and trying to figure out how to write. But at this point, I could be in Wisconsin and I'd still be able to
Nobody
write.
needs to be in Wisconsin. Let me ask you, Tom Papa, it's been a rough couple of years, even though we're all doing great. And you were, how did you pivot as a stand-up comic? Granted, you do a lot of podcasting, but how was the pandemic for you?
It was the same for me as everybody, I believe. It was very strange. I was really taken by how related we all are. Like, because we all seem to be moving in this rhythm together. We were scared at the same time. We were frustrated at the same time. We were hopeful. We were sad. It seemed like we were all in this kind of sloshy rhythm back and forth. And
like my prostate, yes.
Yeah, and I think we got through it, but it got long. This last wave was like, I feel like this is when in the horror movie, it's like we killed it. We were on our way, and then they popped out of the tub one more time.
Right. Yeah, it's like, no. Right.
So hopefully,
out of the grave, the mom's hand or whatever it was.
Yeah. So hopefully we're getting there, but it was longer than I expected for sure.
Now, let me ask you, and I trying not to be a downer and things like that, but you were among the many you've been on. Conan and all, even a more recent, every possible talk show and late night show and podcast. And you did do a podcast with Bob Saget. So do you have any Bob Saget stories, memories? Because you know everybody in the biz. So
yeah, he was so great. And it's funny because what I'm about to tell you, he did with a lot of people. He sought me out. And he said, I want to be friends with you. I feel like we should be friends. So we should go to lunch. We should go to lunch. We went to Art's Deli in Los Angeles, and like we had known each other, we'd seen each other at the clubs and stuff, but we sat down and had a proper lunch and became pals. And he seemed to do that with a lot of people. He was, if he thought you should be friends, he would make it happen, which is, I had watched him since I was a kid. So that's like this, the sophomore talking to the senior. So when the senior comes and says, we should be friends, it's a big deal. Yeah, it's a big deal. He was a sweetheart for sure. It was shocking.
Well, and also shocking. Did he ever say anything like, that you're like, oh my God, even though I know you're filthy off camera, I cannot believe you just thought of that or said that. Like, go.
Yeah, I don't have any examples, but he did not go many minutes without saying something dirty. but it really did come from this sweet package. So it didn't seem lecherous or really that dirty. It was just Bob.
It was just Bob. Now, speaking of other comedians, again, in a way, one person who was kind of your mentor in some fashion was Jerry Seinfeld. Who,
yes, in a very big way.
So, yeah, I don't want to impinge or impede, but can you tell us any Jerry stories?
Yeah, Jerry, whenever people ask what was your big break, I always say it was meeting Jerry, because it opened up so many doors and it made me a better comedian. He really loves comedy so much and I was finding my way, and I wasn't sure, like, what am I writing the right way? Am I touring the right way? And he took me under his wing, and I just absorbed everything from him. And I really learned what it was to be a comic. And to this day, I call him the comedy chiropractor. It's like anytime that I have any questions or any angst about what's going on in my career, or you call him up, and by the time you hang up, you're all adjusted and you realize, oh, what a great thing that we get to be comedians.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because most people, when they talk about Jerry Seinfeld, they say, well, what I learned from him is when you're constructing a joke, every single word and which placement of the word, and you've got to, make it as short as possible. But you're telling me it's more of a gestalt career thing. Also.
Yeah, I mean, that's the short, like there are those little things that you pick up from him, like the little writing things or putting together a set and those kind of things. But no, the bigger arc, the bigger life lesson was, we're very lucky to be comedians. This is the greatest gig in the world. And don't forget that.
All right. But pinging off that, and I know you're a very positive, messagey kind of person, but you got to tell me, you must have had, you've been in this business long enough, one or two hell nights, hell gigs. What's Tom Papa's helliest hell gig?
Yeah, I mean, there were tons of them. It's been a long career, so there's been tons. But one that I always remember, of course, was in New Jersey.
Of course.
It was in down at Rascals at the Shore. Rascals at, I forget what place at the shore, if it was Tom's River or somewhere around there. And I was doing a show. There was a great club, but I was doing a show and someone threw a French fry at me, and it landed on my on my shirt. And I was so shocked. I just looked down and it was still there, like with the ketchup, and it was slowly going down as I was looking at it. I was like, yep, I'm in New Jersey.
But wait, did you, at that moment, were you seasoned enough? And then that's not a pun on how you season fries, but were you seasoned enough to kind of go on, or did it throw you? Did you sort of like, oh, I just want to get done with this gig and get off the stage and go across to catch a rising star in New York or something?
Yeah, you would always soldier through, and you would always kind of like, yeah, you got to stand your ground, but I was not happy. I still remember it to this day.
And could you tell if somebody literally was like tossing at you, or maybe somebody, it was an accident, like somebody just the fork?
No, I was on a stage. Someone not only had to throw it, they had to wind up.
Wow, man! Did you acknowledge it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course, it was. You would, and then attack the person. I don't remember how, but yeah, it was horrible behavior.
Do you have a regular heckler line or two, or something that you have ready, in your arsenal when somebody's drunk, when somebody's,
No, I mean, you sometimes as a habit, you'll go into, I don't, early on, I remember another comedian, Mitch Fatel, and I like sat down, we're like, we've got to be prepared. We should write some lines to be ready. And we never used them. They were never useful. You got to be in the moment. I think that's the most important thing for a comedian. If it feels planned or premeditated, it feels phony, especially when something real like that is happening, an interaction with the audience. So you don't want to be fake. You want to be more real and more in the moment, and you just got to be faster than they are.
Do you recall like the best improv-y moment that you've ever had, of like having to go off script? Because not just because there's a heckler, but maybe someone's really funny in the front or second row, or is really or you say, hey, where are you from? I don't know. You generally don't do that kind of thing, but
no, I mean, there's so many. I do a lot of crowd work. I do like to talk to the crowd in the middle of my set at some point. I love the interaction. I love like the spontaneity. It brings the whole set alive. I did have one moment in the marriage ref, when you were talking about the show with Madonna. At one point, we were doing the show, and she's sitting next to Larry David, and Larry David and her are sparring. They're going back and forth, and even to the point off air, they're still going at each other. And and I have to throw to commercial. I've got to do the setup. I have to do some stuff to the camera, and I'm looking at the camera and I'm ready to go. And she's still going off with Larry David. And I just turned and I said, I never thought I'd say this in my life, but not now, Madonna.
Oh my God. Well, I'm sure a lot of her boyfriends said that about other things, but we won't even go there. We won't even talk about that. But what was that experience of doing network tele? You probably got a great paycheck.
Do you have a baby?
We have our assistant, my beloved assistant, Joyce, has a selection of various sound machines.
Yeah.
Oh, this is comedy. This is $5 worth of comedy. Check this out.
Yeah, see?
Not the sound the comedian wants to hear, but there you go.
You're doing great.
Thank you, Emerson. Thank you, we're doing great. I should just get that as a soundbite. Like Tom Papa says, Rabbi Sol is doing great. I love it. So
he's getting a lot of love from the audience.
By the way, you're getting tons of heart on our Facebook thing, and people are saying they love big thumbs up, and
that's nice. Maybe they'll come to Newark tonight.
Please.
I put it in the chat.
Yeah, we have a.
Where are you?
I put the link to his one of his Netflix specials, and I put the link to his website. I'll put
very nice.
Yeah. That is the production assistant on the program. She is the wife
Beautiful.
of the producer Dave, who does this.
Nice. And where are you?
We're on Long Island.
Long
So
Island.
you can't tell from
Nice.
the accent, I'm from Long Island. By the way, I'm Jewish. What are you?
I was raised Catholic,
Uh-huh.
and but I was raised Catholic, but in northern New Jersey, and most of my school was Jewish. So all of my girlfriends, all of my growing up was being around Jewish people, and I loved it. I loved it more than the Jewish people. I was like, I love being here. They were very similar to, I was raised Italian, and our two cultures are very similar. When you get the whole family together.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very much. How did you meet your wife? Because you've been married a while, you've got the two daughters.
I met my wife at the comic strip in New York. She was a comedian as well. And she said, I said to her, where do you live? Are you going home for Thanksgiving? And she said, oh, you wouldn't know. It's a small town in New Jersey. I said, where is it? And she said, I live in Park Ridge, New Jersey. I said, oh, did you have Miss Conway for kindergarten?
No. I mean,
we were a year apart and never met until that moment. So we had all this shared history, and and we had the same summer jobs. We were at the same parties. We never met until we were adults. And in our rings, it says, finally.
Oh, and what's weird is you were a year apart. Now you're 7 years apart. I don't know how that works time-wise. Old Abbott and Costello thing there. But okay, so this is an interesting question. She was also a budding comedian.
Mm-hmm.
Was there a choice that had to be made for, I'm going to tail off and have kids, or was there any competition between you at a certain level? Or...
Yeah, no, we were pretty compatible before we had kids. It wasn't really competitive. We were both kind of supporting each other, but it was short. We were only together for a couple of years before we had kids. And then once we had children, she was an actress and a comedian, and I was making a little more money at it at the time. So, and she just really, as soon as we had our first child, she really wanted to be with her. She wanted to be the mom, and she just put everything into that. And it just seemed like a natural kind of course. And then we had the second child, and she would go back and perform a little bit. She would do my radio shows and that kind of thing. She misses it, but she also feels like she made the right choice.
Can I ask you, do you ever, my friend Dave, who produces this program, he interviewed Rhea Rudner very recently, another brilliant comedian.
Of her.
And she said, not only like you does she keep her material usually quite clean, which is quite amazing. But she also says, sometimes when she'll think of a joke and she'll run it by her husband, or she's got a daughter that wants to be in the band, and if they say, she takes it out of the act. She said, no, I won't. Have you ever wanted to do some line or some material, and then your wife hears it and she feels offended, or your kids are like, I'm not going to do it?
Yeah, my wife does have certain times where it's something she'll complain about something that I've said in the act, and it always surprises me. It's always something that I would think she would have no problem with, and you do have to take it out of the act.
If you want the marriage to last, you got. And
yeah.
That's also how this works, because people can go watch You're Doing Great on Netflix. They can also read the book, which is very funny. And so, but if they come tonight to New Jersey, is that now old material that you're barely touching, and you've been working towards another, and you're testing that out, as it were, in a big way in New Jersey? How's that?
It's a whole nother act. There's nothing from the old act that is in this act right now.
Is there
is there a theme? No, not really. Well, I guess the theme, I don't write with a theme in mind. It kind of like comes together as it evolves. But I would say if there was a theme that we're hitting on now, it's good people versus bad people. It's that I keep going back over that there are. I say at one point, when we came out of the pandemic, I thought that I was naive. I thought that we were going to be better for it, and we were going to, and I missed everybody. I missed all the extra people in my life. I missed all the people that make up the cacophony of your everyday life. But now that I've been out for a while, I'm starting to think that perhaps COVID may have killed the wrong people.
Wow.
There are a lot of people out there that are mean, and they all survived. they all survived.
Names you could possibly share.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell me some other stories if you don't mind, since again you know so many comedians. Can you tell some stories of dead comedians? Like amazing. Well, no, I mean, people are no longer. Did you know Robin Williams? Did you know Henny Youngman? Did you?
I got to work with Don Rickles. I wanted to work with him in a very bad way for a long time. And my family had a trip to Costa Rica planned. And the Montreal Just for Laughs Festival called and said, do you want to open for Rickles at the festival? And it meant cutting off 4 of my days with the family, but I kissed them goodbye. And it was the right choice because it was so memorable. And I got to go up and hang with Don Rickles for 2 nights. I got to do shows with him. It was so amazing. And I started, lobbing in softballs for him. I was like, so Don, do you think we're going to hang out in LA after, because we're friends now? He said, don't get carried away. I said, Don, are you going to watch my act tonight? He said, please, I've got things to do. And then at the end, he called me into his dressing room at the end of the last night. And he's in there in his little robe. And he's drinking a martini. And he said, Tom, come over here. And I knelt down next to him. And he held my hand like a grandparent. You know how a grandparent will hold your hand and not let go? It's longer than you think it's going to be. And he took my hand and he said, Tom, I watched your act tonight. I watched the whole thing. And I really did what you said, and I watched the whole act. Have you ever considered a job in food delivery?
Which
he
is
said, you bring food.
Can tell you
exactly. That's he's saying I love you, yeah. And he said so you deliver the food once in a while. You throw a joke in so you don't kill yourself. It was the best. That was worth it. That was much better than
perfect opening act for Rickles, because it's a very different type of. I remember seeing Sam Kinison, and the guy who opened for him was just as harsh and vulgar and even funnier at the thing, and he killed. And Kinison almost killed. So it was the wrong balance. When you've got this great family, gentle, in fact, I will say this, and this is no slam on him, but our production assistant watched your special and said, he's like Jim Gaffigan, only even funnier.
Oh, that's nice. I was just with Jim this week.
How's he? Tell us a Jim Gaffigan story.
He was great.
But how's Jim Gaffigan? Tell us a Gaffigan story.
Gaffigan's wonderful. We started at the same time in New York, and I have a podcast called Breaking Bread, where I'm a bread baker, and I like to share it with people and sit down. And, if you sit over a meal, you always kind of open up the conversation. And I had Jim over, and I gave him one of my breads. He has a new special on comedy on Netflix right now. And we had this great time. It was on Thursday. We had a great time. And then I get off the plane. I come to New York, and I get off the plane, and there are 2 drivers at baggage claim holding Papa Gaffigan. We were on the same flight. We had no idea. And he came walking up and he goes, I have your bread in my bag. He had his loaf of bread to bring home to his family.
Hey, I don't want to spend too much time on the cooking thing, because there's so many more comedy things I want to ask you about. But what is the secret to a great homemade loaf of bread?
The secret is you have to really love doing it. You have to really love, you care enough. And I do find this when I talk to people that bake and cook. If they are really passionate about it and really love it, that's the missing ingredient. I know it sounds corny, but it really is. And then it's practice. It takes a lot of practice.
It's so different for me, because when I make bread, I want to make a loaf of bread, but I get so angry, I just pound and pound, it turns into matzah without letting me to do it. Here's for Passover. Let's hold it for a couple of months.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Tell us, please, also more. Well, who did you watch or listen to, or what albums did you have growing up when you wanted to be a little baby comedian?
When I was a baby, I was watching Bill Cosby. I was watching George Carlin, or listening to George Carlin and Steve Martin.
Oh, yeah.
Those were the giants.
Can you divorce, and I've asked a few comedians this, can you divorce Bill Cosby the man from Bill Cosby the material?
Yeah, it's hard with comedians because it's so personal, and it's not like a Woody Allen film. It's like I could watch those films easily because there's more of a separation there, and you're telling a story, and there's these other actors, and the stand up anyway ages. It's like for some reason it's very much in the moment, the way we talk, the timing of it, it's very difficult to stand up does not age well. Even if you love the people, if you love Sam Kinison and you watch him back at the HBO and you're like, oh yeah, I could see why that was so funny, but it's not as explosive as when you saw it. And it's not because of the repetition. There's something to the time of it. Comedy is very much in the moment. It's very much of the time, of the era. So back to your question, I think like if I were to watch Himself, which is the big special which is so great, and you could see technically how great it was. I have a little bit of a hard time with him because it is so personal. It's just him. It's himself. It's just him. He's just talking, and knowing the stuff that went on. It's difficult. It's a different thing. A comedian is opening up their heart and they're exposing everything about themselves. And then you find out that something was pretty horrible, or like even just like comics that, if they're just act like a jerk or whatever, all of a sudden they're not as funny.
It does make that what's interesting, and I'll go back to the Rita Rudner article that Dave wrote, and he was asking her, and she said the same thing. It isn't even about Bill Cosby doing this terrible thing. There's just, she doesn't go there anymore. That was material 40 years ago. It's not bad now, but she's moved on. She's moved on from Woody Allen movies. It was all the time, and you put that so brilliantly. I haven't heard that before.
Yeah.
I will say we're coming up on a half an hour. Do you have any more time? Because you've been very kind to me. Do you have a couple more minutes, or you've got a...
Sure.
So
yeah, we're good.
Tell us more. Tell who else, what notables are you going to blow our minds where you say, oh yeah, I have lunch with them all the time, or they were a great mentor to me, or,
I don't know. I mean, that's the kind of unique thing about this kind of a career, is that you go from watching people you admire, and then you end up friends with them or getting to work with them, and there's always something to be learned from all of them. There's always something to learn, whether good or bad, or like whether you should do something or not do something. And it's such a great experience. It's a very it's not lost on me how fortunate I am to sometimes, in one day be talking with Jerry, and then talk to Gaffigan, and talk to Matt Damon, like all in one day, like to have all of these people kind of line up. Well, Matt and I did several projects together. We were both in Behind the Candelabra and The Informant, and we became really good friends. And it's so like when it seems very natural, but then I step back and like the 12-year-old version of me is like, who did you just talk to?
And when I think of really hilarious, funny people, you've mentioned a few. There's George Carlin growing up, and people like that. And of course, there's Rob Zombie. He directed a couple of your specials. Of all, you would say of all people.
Well, I always say that Rob, maybe Rob's a little nerdier than you think, and I'm a little cooler than you think.
Well, the glasses, yeah. I hear you. But
he's a filmmaker, and he loves comedy. We became friends, and when I wanted to make my specials, I wanted them to be a little bit more like a film. I wanted it to feel a little different than what everyone else was doing. And he's a force. So it was, we had a really fun time making them together. I mean, ultimately, you know, we're getting to an era now where my last special, there was no opening. It was just me on the stage. It was fun. You just jump right into it. And it's almost like anything that you do before or after in a filmic kind of way is really just for the super fans or for yourself. We're in an era now where it's like, let's just get to it.
Who was that? The comedian is tall. He's got kind of a beagle cut, youngish. He does the cartoons. Also,
Dimitri
Martin. He spent like the first 2 minutes of one of his specials doing a mega commentary of the pre-thing of, well, now let's get that camera walking me. Why are they doing this? I don't know.
Yeah.
And I think that was like the termination of it. That was the final say, like, we don't have to do this anymore.
I know, because when you know the experience with a comedian, you just get right to the jokes and you sit in the theater and they walk out and you do it. There is something to breaking the form a little bit. I think that some people have done things where they'll film a piece from different clubs, or they'll make a little bit more of a documentary around it. And I think that's all good and it's all creative. But I don't know, for the next one, I like that it just kind of starts. I love, you're sitting down, you turn on Netflix, you want some laughs, and within 5 seconds you're laughing.
Now, one question for you, Tom Papa, in terms of material. Are you one of those people? Do you carry a notebook? Do you have scraps of paper that you're doing along in a diner? Are you one of these like Alan Alda in the Woody Allen movie with the tape recorder and then I just thought of something hilarious, but
I always had a folded up piece of paper in my back right pocket with a pen, and so anytime, because there are so many times, whether or not you're using them, you should write them down. You should. If something hits you, just jot it down, because you will forget, and then maybe it turns into something, or maybe it doesn't. I don't now, since the iPhone. Now I just do it in notes on my phone. I go there and I do the same thing, the same exercise, and store it in there. It's actually more.
You're just speaking into the phone.
No, I type it in. I'll just type in. Yeah, I'll just type in.
Would you have your phone with you? Can we take a look, or you can tell us? You don't show us.
Here's my phone
number. But I would love to know, like, what you jotted down, which will not be funny at all, but it may germinate something and then become,
Yeah, I don't have my phone, but I do remember yesterday.
Yeah.
We were on, yes, if you were to look at the notes, it would say bumpy. It just says bumpy.
And that comes to your mind.
I had a driver and we were driving from the airport. It was an aggravating long ride. And we were coming through Soho on these cobblestone street. It was like the last mile of this arduous journey, and it's nauseating, and I'm trying to be patient, but I'm starting to get a little cranky. And then the driver just said, "It's bumpy." And it just made me laugh. And I was like, I think like the premise of that would be, sometimes somebody saying something to you can just change your mood immediately. It's bumpy. And I was like, yeah, it is. It's okay.
It's been an absolutely delightfully smooth conversation and ride here with Tom Papa. We want to remind people that you got to go tonight to New Jersey. I know it's New Jersey, but still, you have to go to New Jersey, the New Jersey Performing Arts Center. And it is it 8 o'clock tonight, or you're doing 2 shows tonight?
I'm doing shows. Yes, I'm doing one at 7 and one at 9:30.
Are they the exact? I mean, just curious. Do you change stuff? Not just if a joke doesn't work at 7, you take it out, but is 9:30 dirtier at all, or what?
No, it's the same show. I do break it up. Well, I have a couple of moments where I like to talk to the audience, so that'll make the set different, because it may take us into a different area. But as far as the material, it will be the same.
I have a question from the gallery. Hold on.
I see he's going to be at a winery. How is it performing at a winery?
Well, is it worse performing at a winery because people are already halfway to the wind?
Oh, no, that actually makes it a little easier.
And I should also mention for our Long Island people who don't necessarily want to, I mean, everybody should schlep to New Jersey tonight, but if you don't, you are going to be at the Huntington Paramount Theater over on Long Island in April 20. So also, if you're avoiding the pandemic and stuff, you'll be, God willing, there as well. Can I ask, what other project, are you still doing a podcast?
Yeah, I do the Breaking Bread podcast every week. We have Jim Gaffigan on this week, and then we have Dan Richer from Raza Pizza on next week. And then I also do the Sirius XM show every day on Netflix's Joke Radio with it's called What a Joke with Papa and Fortune.
And Fortune Beamster, another comedian, is your person there. How are you liking the? Do you worry that you're using up your best, or people will hear you on the air and well, I've just heard all the jokes and they won't, or it's a different animal?
No, that's not the problem. It's fun, and it's you're using a different muscle to be funny. It's more like this. It's more conversational. This is very different from my act. It's a time thing because I'm writing my third book right now, and it's really just about dedicating time. You have to manage your time, and when you have a job, which comedians aren't used to. When you have a job, you actually have to be a little more clever about the use of your time.
So last question, and I will let you go because you have so much to do today. What is your new book? Is the new book basically going to be like the act that you're doing, or is it a whole different thing?
It's a whole different thing. It's a work in progress, but the idea is that your life is a big mistake. You
just told me I'm doing great. You just told me I'm doing great. What the hell?
Yes, but the funny part of it is that everything that you're doing has been done before. And your life is actually richer because of all the mistakes that people have made before you. So follow the rules. That's why dinner is at 7. That's why we're not eating lasagna at the beach. People have made mistakes. And if you just follow the rules that people have laid before you, your life will be easy.
I have been told that I am standing on the shoulders of morons, and I believe it. I believe it absolutely.
Exactly. Maybe that should be the title.
Well, no, because you are standing on the shoulders of giant comedians and doing them proud. Tom Papa, I want to wish you, first of all, continued great health. I want you to have a wonderful, or I should say, no, break a leg and all the horrible things you say to someone going on stage. Just so that it goes well for you tonight, tomorrow night, wherever you'll be touring. Luck with the book, luck with more Netflix specials, and just...
should get more men in this home.
And get more male animals. It's good for you. I can tell you.
Why not?
Keeping you up a little bit. TomPapa.com is his website, TOMPAPA.com, so that all the information there is about the podcast that he's on and the tour dates and everything else. Tom Papa,
everything else.
Bless you for being with us. Shalom, and thank you for being in the Daverhood.
Thank you so much.
Shalom to you.
Shalom.
Oh my goodness, Tom Papa! Papa, can you hear me? He did. We couldn't hear him for a little bit, but we heard him. Papa, da 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 da. What a delight, what a joy to be talking to someone so funny and smart and so likable and with such good advice about life. He should be doing my rabbinical reflections. I'm just dwelling in misery. Well, I forget, he's not Jewish. But ladies and gentlemen, we have more Dave's Gone By show for you with Dave Lefkowitz, the host and producer of the show.
People have pointed out, so you eventually...
What?
You go in and out.
I do with my wife. What? No.
You're losing the internet. And so a lot of people asked about that, so I said you would post the show afterward on...
Yeah, I'm hoping it comes through. If parts of that interview were a little wavy and you were getting that. I didn't get anything that was saying unsettled or something, but wonderful. But we will post this program as well as the interview on davesgoneby.com in a day or two. It'll also be on archive.org, also on YouTube, also on Facebook. So if you missed, and I apologize, we do what we can with cable. If you missed it, we'll save it. You'll have it. You can watch it over again. You can share it with friends. You can share it with fellow comedians. You can share it even with Sam Kinison and Bob Saget looking down and watching from on high, going, yeah. That even despite the idiot Jew, that guy was funny. So Ladies and gentlemen, speaking of funny, we've got more Dave's Gone By for you with Dave Lefkowitz. So I'm going to play my outro special klezmeric music to continue the program. Have a very good weekend. A very, very happy Martin Luther King Jr. 3rd, 5th day to you all. Come on. No. Play some music, goddamn. Thank you. Oh my goodness. Wow. You know what? It was funny when he was talking about that whole thing of talking to another comedian who makes you feel good about what you do. I feel better.
Oh, Cynthia said she heard it all. Good.
Oh, yay. Yeah, no, I mean, I literally feel better for having Rabbi Saul talking to Tom Papa.
He's a wonderful, he's my favorite comedian now.
Oh my, look, listen to that. Joyce is saying that Tom Papa is her favorite comedian. Oh, we watch a lot of really funny people. And
because he's realistic. He's a pragmatist, you know.
But in a positive way, but without being Pollyanna-ish, which is I don't know how he does it. I mean, I should read more of his book and watch his special again. But yeah, it's tompapa.com if you want to find out more about him. He's got 2 specials, on Netflix. There's tons of clips on YouTube. You can check him out, Tom Papa, and check out his podcasts as well. We're very, very grateful to him for being on the Dave's Gone By show today. And a big thank you to Angela Thomas over at New Jersey Performing Arts Center for helping set that up, as well as Joey Mullen for really making it happen with Tom Papa.
You know what I wanted to ask him too?
Oh.
He's going from here to like Indiana. He's going all over. Like, how's the traveling?
Not fun, I'm sure. Certainly, what was it, like a week and a half ago, half the planes were not flying and stuff, so I imagine he's encountered some delay stuff, but he's doing it. And he's doing it really, really well. Anyway, it is 11:15 Eastern Time in the Daverhood on the 833rd episode of Dave's Gone By. We've been doing this since October of 2002, so this is we really do have 832 previous episodes, almost all of which are saved at davesgoneby.com. We also post our archives at archive.org. We have our own channel there. We have our channel on YouTube. We also put our audio only on the podcast service, castbox.fm. There's a Dave's Gone By channel, castbox.fm. So even though this is a video show, if you just want to listen to it, you're traveling, you're driving, you probably don't want to watch this show while you're driving. Not a good idea. But if you put your headphones in or you want to throw it on your radio from your device, totally podcastable, castbox.fm. And if you are on Long Island and you still get cable television for some ridiculous reason, and Altice is your provider, we have 1 hour of the program randomly selected that plays Tuesday nights, 9:30 to 10:30 p.m. on Altice Cable Channel 20. So yeah, we're actually on your TV. Amazingly, I mean, Tom Papa's on TV all the time, but we're on TV 1 hour a week, 9:30 to 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Channel 20 if you have Altice. Well, my dear, oh my goodness, we're having such a fine time on the program. Let's keep it going. Are you feeling criminal? Are you in kind of a criminal mood?
I'm criminally insane, dude.
Well, that is the sound that cues us into our next segment of the show, which is based...
Oh, look.
Well, what, tell me.
You put the typewriter one.
Oh, that's the Lego typewriter. Yay.
Yeah.
So here we go. speaking of type, well, not typing, but more like typesetting, the Greeley Tribune has been around since, well, well over 100 years. But one of the columns that is currently in the Greeley Tribune is called 100 Years Ago. It's our friend Mike Peters who goes into the newspaper back in early 1922 and pulls out things that were printed there that to our modern eyes might be goofy or funny or weird. So he puts those in a column once a week. And then there's another column called Cop Log. And these are phone calls that come into the police department in Weld County in northern Colorado of people seeing things in their neighborhood where they're going, oh, I think I should tell the police about that. Yeah. Whether or not the police should be told about it or not. We mix these up in a weekly segment that we like to call Greeley Crimes and Old Times. Pow. Da, 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 da. Yes, Greeley Crimes and Old Times, because we mix up things that were in the paper 100 years ago and items that were just happening in northern Colorado last week, 2 or 3 weeks ago. So, are you ready for some crime, my darling? Here we go. A caller. Hello. What? Hello. Hello. What? Was a party line. Okay. A caller on 17th Street reported a man was completely naked and running down the street. Apparently he was just chasing the mobile proctoscopy van, but yeah. People are just going nuts. People are just going a little crazy now. A man on 8th Street said he heard a noise around his house. Okay, so hon, you're in your house. You hear a strange noise.
Yeah.
What do you do?
I get my baseball bat. No.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's one reaction. Think bigger. Think more. Think beyond baseball bat.
You get your Rottweiler.
Bigger.
AK-47.
There we go. A man on 8th Street said he heard a noise around the house. So he grabbed his gun. What do you think he did with his gun?
He shot the person.
Probably leaping to conclusions there.
What, he threatened them?
No,
Oh, he shot himself.
he fired his gun into the wall as a warning shot.
Oh my God. Howdy.
I mean, you know, it's like
Howdy.
he didn't even see anybody there.
Howdy. I love it.
We're going back to prairie times, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, a caller on 10th Street. Hey, what's wrong with the phone here? Oh, there it is. Hello. Hello. Where are you calling? Oh, you're calling from 10th Street. Uh-huh. Real? Oh, them again? Oh, yeah. Caller on 10th Street reported wanting, quote, the violin scam people removed for trespassing on his property. Huh? We know these internet scams. We know that the phone call scams with a warranty on the cars.
Oh, yeah.
We know that the scams about insurance. We know the scams. You may have won this and you have to fly to Florida to do the. Have you come across the violin scam?
I have, yeah.
Really? What? Any thoughts on it? I guess maybe they just string you along. Yeah. Fiddle, midnight fiddle. One more crime, and then we'll get to some old time things. A caller on 73rd Avenue reported 2 vehicles driving around stealing Christmas decorations. So that is not the great spirit. Although, hey, I say that Santa should be allowed to recycle. So you never know with that. But let's do some really old times things. An Eton man who received a new pressure cooker for Christmas was arrested on Christmas Day. Why? Do I want to take a stab on that one?
I don't know why.
Well, he had a pressure cooker Turns out he was using it.
Oh, to do meth?
This is 100 years ago.
Oh,
So what was the equivalent of meth back then?
moonshine.
Illegal hooch. That was it. The sheriff found gallons of 70 proof liquor brewing in the new cooker. I guess you could. I guess there's all kinds of ways. And meanwhile, oh, did you know? The Greeley sugar mill is nearing the year-end closing. All the beets have been sliced, and sugar making will be over by the end of the week. For the first time in many years, no one was killed while working at the factory in 1921. They had the sign, you know, the 366. Oh, Charlie, get the zero. Why would people be killed in a sugar factory? How?
Because of the machines, you know, like think of the jungle, right? People get sucked into a machine and lose a limb.
Or they're chopping the cane
Or they're
or
too
something.
tired and they make a mistake, you know.
Yeah. Ugh. Yeah. You know, but when they go to the funeral, after that happens, they're not buried in a room. Oh, they're buried in a suite.
Cynthia wrote. Cynthia said sweet.
What does Cynthia say?
Sweet.
Yeah, thank you very much. A Greeley man, this is still 1922, like first week of the year. A Greeley man was fined $5 and court costs for using force upon his wife. We were talking about domestic abuse before. He didn't want her, to go to a dance. So he ripped the buttons from her dress, thus making it impossible for her to leave the house.
Doesn't she have another dress?
Doesn't she? I was wondering about that. It's like she's got one dress and it's one button dress, and now you're home. You know, this is why people have potato sacks. What? Potato sacks? That's how I was made. No, potato sacks. Let's go elsewhere. Let's find something to talk about from elsewhere. What that means is every week on Dave's Gone By in our Greeley Crimes and Old Times segment, we go elsewhere for a story or two. So this isn't Colorado at all, but it's still weird. Oh, this is a fun one. I should have saved this for Rabbi Saul. We're going to Utah, America. David Bateman, co-founder and CEO of the Utah technology firm Entrata. Have you ever heard of them?
No.
Entrata.
No.
No.
Not at all.
Well, he had to step down earlier this week after sending a controversial email to local business leaders. In the email, Bateman called the COVID vaccine, quote, a sadistic Jewish plot to euthanize the American people,
Oh my goodness.
unquote. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying you can't send that out if you're the CEO. Wrote Bateman again, quote, I believe the pandemic and systematic extermination of billions of people is an effort to consolidate all the countries in the world under a single totalitarian flag. I pray that I am wrong on this, unquote. It's like, yeah, Jews are responsible for this horrible evil, and they're gonna be killing billions of folks with this totalitarian regime and this fake vaccine. Oh, but you know, I hope I'm wrong. Could be wrong. I could be wrong now, but I don't think so. You know. Bateman also wrote, quote, for 300 years, the Jews have been trying to infiltrate the Catholic Church and place a Jew covertly at the top. It happened in 2013 with Pope Francis, unquote. This is the guy who started like $1 billion company called Entrata. And it's like, it happened, apparently, according to him, Pope Francis, the Catholic Argentinian Pope of the world, is actually a covert Jew under the spell of the Zionists. And I wonder about this, because you know what happened with Pope Francis this week? This is actually true. I saw this on Twitter. It's very funny. Pope Francis, who is a music lover, But I'm not joking. This is absolutely true. You can Google it. Pope Francis loves like opera recordings and Neapolitan songs and other kinds of music. So he thought, ooh, I'm just going to go to a record store. Now, the most absurd thing about this is, of course, that in 2022, there's still a record store somewhere in downtown Rome, Italy. But he did. He just left the Vatican, which, people who haven't been to Italy may have this idea that the Vatican is some place in an island on a mountain in this faraway cloister of nuns and monks and whatever. It's like, no. It's like literally in the heart of Rome. Anybody can get to it. You just can't get into it without a pass. But the Pope can get out of it. We don't think of that. He is not. All the rest of the world is trapped inside our houses. The Pope can go anywhere he wants to, right? So he's like, I want to buy some music. And he misses, one of the things he misses a lot is, because he's Pope, is not having a regular life with regular people and just being able to go to a supermarket and buy stuff and not be able to go to a place. So he goes to a record store. And of course, there's a journalist for like a near Vatican newspaper who spots him and takes a picture of him. Man, you take your picture, senor, why are you buying it? And it kind of ruins the Pope's experience because he just wanted, a day to be a guy in a record store buying music, like so many of us were when we were in our 18 and going to college and then going to Bleecker Bob's or something. But the great part of it is, and the wonderfully absurd part, and this is absolutely all true, if you see the picture that the journalist took of the Pope in the record store, he's all in white robes. It's not like he dressed up in a t-shirt or winter clothing with a big a hoodie and whatever the weather is in Italy right now. No, he dressed as the Pope. And it's like he didn't want to be recognized. It's like, go look at the other way. I'm looking at the Mario Lanza record. It's like, you're dressed as the Pope. You're standing there in white ermine. Nobody else, even rapper pimps, don't dress like this in the middle of Italy, 7 blocks from the Vatican. What is wrong with you? But I hope he got the music that he wanted to hear. True story, I tell you, this is a true story. Also a true story about David Bateman in Utah, the guy from Entrata. There's a little bit more. Asked about the email that he sent with all this anti-Semitic crazy hatred in it, Bateman confirmed sending it and said, I kid you not, quote, I have nothing but love for the Jewish people. Some of my closest friends are Jewish, unquote. Seriously, yeah. But, he continued, quote, Scottish Rite Freemasons are behind the pandemic, and they are overwhelmingly Jewish. Wow. You ever notice that the great leaders in business are all a little bit crazy? Maybe not dangerous crazy, but Steve Jobs.
You have to be a narcissist and you have to be a little bit crazy to take on these jobs, but then it ultimately does you in. The thing that it propels you kills you. Henry
Ford, right? We know all about him. Even the Facebook guy seems like a nice guy, but also a little bit, right? So a spokesperson for Entrata said that, remember he stepped down, said that David Bateman's email, quote, does not reflect our views in any way, unquote. And meanwhile, Rabbi Avrami Zippel of Chabad, Utah, well, he was less diplomatic. He called the email, quote, a flaming pile of garbage, unquote. And by the way, he did say garbage. He didn't, we're not cleaning it up. He did use the word garbage. So, wow. David Bateman, and I think he's just resentful because he has a Jewish name. Is there a more Jewish name than David Bateman? I wonder if it's like Hitler, somewhere in the family tree, there's one like Jewish rotten apple in his family, and he resents it to this day. Let me also share. No, I'll share this next week because it'll actually be around. I'll save that. But let's go back to some crimes and old times before we put this segment to bed. Greeley Crimes and Old Times here on Dave's Gone By Live on this Saturday morning, January 15th, 2022. Let me do a little more old time stuff. Oh, honey, this is a congratulations. I wish we had a speak and spell. I wish we had one of those animal pulley things.
Yeah.
Because let's give it up.
We do have the pickle.
But yeah, it's not right for this. Maybe I can just do the noise. Give it up for a registered Holstein cow, Lady Sagis Pontiac Luria. This is 1922, honestly. Lady Sagis Pontiac Luria. And by the way, this is before they were making Pontiac cars. She is the top fat-producing cow in the state of Colorado. In November, the cow produced 93 pounds of butter fat. But then she started watching Richard Simmons, and it just went right down. She had the staple surgery and got a lot better.
He's alive. Remember the whole controversy about him?
Yeah, well, Joyce and I, this is how empty our days and nights are. We spent a good half hour tracking down how Richard Simmons is doing. Is he like alive or dead? There was a podcast not that long ago, tracking and trying to get to Richard Simmons' friends and neighbors and colleagues, just to say, alive, dead, male, female, in guardianship or just fine and avoiding the world. Where's Richard? So Richard Simmons, if you're watching, if you're listening, and you want to zoom in or just give us a message, would be great to hear from you, because he's been posting on Twitter, but is he posting on Twitter? Because it's not new pictures, it's like old videos and stuff. Anyway, we do wish you well, and you did wonders for Lady Sagis Pontiac Luria, because her butterfat count went way down in the months succeeding last January of 1922. A widow said she has received a marriage proposal from a barber. He told her, I don't know if this is true or just one of those cute things they used to put in the paper back then. He told her that after working hard all day, he longs to come home to a face that doesn't need anything done to it. Obviously, he didn't marry an Italian woman. But anywho, yeah, I'll get letters. Let's go back to some criminality and finish off this version of Greeley Crimes in Old Times. Hon, we always talk about the vortex. We talk about the Bermuda Triangle of Greeley, Colorado, 8th and 8th. This is not 8th and 8th, but you know where we're going? 9th and 9th! The confluence of 9th Avenue and 9th Street in Greeley, Colorado is where this happened. The caller on 9th and 9th reported a man emptied out his bag in front of the store's entrance, and in the bag he had a large butcher knife. Now, I'm assuming this store was not actually a meat store or a butcher shop where he was going into. Would you do, if you're not carrying a gun, should we carry these days a large butcher knife?
I don't think that's legal.
Probably not. And I know if I were carrying a knife around, it would just make me edgy. I'm so sharp today. I hope you can handle it. Hey, look, it's comedy. I took a stab. We're I wouldn't say our jokes are dirty, but we are X-rated. Nothing from you. Nothing at all. All right, let's do one. God help us, let's do one more. No, that's not so great. We'll do two more old-time things. In each group of 100 people, only 2 are interested in international affairs. 98 are interested in their neighbors' affairs. Oh, the aphoristic old-time newspapers, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, boy. And this is cute. This is actually cute. Another one. Some relatives love you, some are neutral, and some send your small boy a loud horn for Christmas.
That's nice.
All right.
Nice.
It is nice. And it's nice doing Greeley Crimes and Old Times for you every Saturday right here on Dave's Gone By.
Mr. Horace Greeley was no fool.
Oh, he was not.
I'm sure that you'll agree with me that Greeley was no fool. What he is getting at is that Mr. Greeley was no fool.
No, he wasn't.
Yippee-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi-yi-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi.
Thank you, Groucho, and thank you all of you, by the way, for watching this program, for tuning in, for writing in and posting on our Facebook page. Remember, you can email me, davesgoneby@aol.com. Dave, like my name, with an S on the end, gone by @aol.com. Plus, as I say, if you want to post or if you're a friend on Facebook, you can certainly direct message me. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to know your thoughts about the show. Certainly, I love the thumbs up and the warm, happy heart things and the hugs and all those ridiculous emoji things. Just to let me know you're watching, you're enjoying the show, you're paying attention, and you're sharing news of the program with your friends. It always astonishes me now, certainly since we've been on Facebook and doing the video, how the circle and the influence of Dave's Gone By has grown. A lot of people have heard of this program. A lot of people watch this show now. Famous, I'm not. And if you think of any living actor or comedian, they have a podcast. You know who they are. You see them in the movies. You see them on TV. You watch their specials. And I know they have a podcast. Trust me, they do. They do. So I'm vying against all these other people who are doing this as well. But I think I do it pretty well, and I get some wonderful feedback from you all. davesgoneby@aol.com is the way to get in touch, and I do hope that you will. And by the way, speaking of people getting in touch, let's make sure that we thank the folks who have been on this episode of Dave's Gone By, and also check in with a couple of people who've been on the show in months and years past. We do this in a segment that we call Friends of the Daverhood. Little bit of Mozart there, as we take a high level to be really grateful for some of the wonderful, talented people who come on this program. For example, Leslie Hoban Blake, a theater director and a theater critic and journalist. At the moment, the show that she's on, Critic Circle, is on a temporary hiatus. I'm sure it'll be back in a couple of weeks. But a big shout out to Leslie. Shout out to David Sheward, theater critic. Read his work in theaterlife.com, culturaldaily.com, as well as his blog, The David Desk. And especially if you're a Betty White fan, if you were sad when she passed just before the new year, he did a whole column about Betty White on the Carol Burnett Show that you can read on his blog, The David Desk. And thank you so much to John Pielmeier. Congratulations to him on the success of his show. And you forget the show, forget the success of his long-running play, Agnes of God, many years ago, and all the shows that he wrote for television. He won the Today Yesterday quiz today. My goodness, he has the crown. John Pielmeier, congratulations. But yes, also look for him in your TV watching and your binging on series and things. Do an IMDb check on John Pielmeier, and you will see just how much he has written over the past bunch of years. So yay, and thank him for being on the show today as well. Thank you to Rabbi Sal Solomon, founder, spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. Thank you. Did a lovely job, I think, interviewing Tom Papa, even though their senses of comedy are so different. You know, Tom Papa reaches up here for aspirational things, and Rabbi Sal's just down there, essentially aspirating most of the time. But if you want to know more about Rabbi Sal, go to shalomdammit.com. Shalom, D-A-M-M-I-T, shalomdammit.com, to read and hear his rabbinical reflections. Those are mini sermons that he's been doing for a bunch of years, as well as watching his stage show and watching his hilarious TV program that he did a decade or so ago on Long Island Cable. So it's shalomdammit.com. But also, let's talk about some folks who have been on the program, not this week, but in months and years past. Let's, for example, give a shout out to Lilias White, the wonderful boisterous actress who was on our show just a few months ago. She is in a play being done at the New Group called Black No More, being done by the Signature Theater off-Broadway. It's playing now through the end of February, Lilias White in Black No More. So you got black and white in the same show. From now through the 19th, so today through, I guess it would be, Tuesday or Wednesday, you can watch Amy Coleman in Crazy Meshuggah Hurricane Earthquake, directed by our friend David Mandelbaum. So we get a 2-for-1 in there. That is the New Yiddish Repertory Theater doing it in person at Theater for the New City, downtown in New York. Crazy Meshuggah Hurricane Earthquake, which is pretty much what happens every time Rabbi Sal opens his mouth. Congrats to Amy Coleman and David Mandelbaum on that gig. Also, now every on Wednesdays, so I got the dates wrong on this, but this Wednesday, and I think every Wednesday in January, don't forget to go to Robin Hitchcock's Facebook page, or his website. Robin Hitchcock, it's been tough on musicians. He's a well-known, brilliant singer-songwriter, wonderful musician. What's he doing? He's doing house concerts with his I don't know if it's his girlfriend or his wife, backing him up vocally, and I think she also plays an instrument, but playing the greatest hits, playing new songs, because he's got dozens of albums out. You can watch him for a donation. Robin Hitchcock in concert in his living room, coming into your living room. Doesn't really get better than that. And it's every Wednesday night. He goes live, and I do believe it's on Facebook or some other platform, and you can Patreon him some money for that. Robin Hitchcock. So big shout, one of my favorite guests ever on the show. Letting you know that Eric Comstock and Barbara Fasano are at Birdland. That's on West 44th Street now through the end of January. They're there once a week doing their show. And letting you know that Austin Pendleton is, oh my God, hon, do you have the bell? Do you have the here, I got this. I missed it. It's an Austin Pendleton alert. The ubiquitous Austin Pendleton, because every week he's doing something else. Now he is going to be playing Doc in an off-Broadway revival of Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, the Tennessee Williams play, being done by a company called Ruth Stage at the Theater at St. Clement's in Midtown Manhattan, over on West 46th Street. This is the great thing about Austin Pendleton. He's kind of well known, and he's done tons of movies. You recognize him in a second if you can't picture him. He's done bunches of Broadway and off-Broadway. So he's at the stage of his career where he's got a comfortable living, and he just does a different off-Broadway show every few weeks. When he isn't called to do Broadway, when he doesn't have like a big gig, he's like, I've always wanted to be in Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. Is there a role for me? Sure, I'll play Doc. And he does it. He rehearses and he does it for 3 weeks. And then he moves on to the next. The wonderful Austin Pendleton. Letting you know that Ruben Santiago Hudson is directing the play Skeleton Crew for the Manhattan Theater Club on Broadway at the Samuel J. Friedman Theater. Their dates got a little bit skewed because of Omicron, but I think they canceled a couple of performances, but they've reset their previews and opening dates, and it's starting up again. Go see Skeleton Crew, directed by Ruben Santiago Hudson. Danny Burston is in the video Estella Scrooge. So that's an online theater musical. This is not in person. You can stream it, and you can get it via Broadway On Demand. Danny Burston in Estella Scrooge, playing now just through the end of the year. On Broadway, Ray Bachor is playing Amos in Chicago. Alan Menken, of course, wrote the music for the hit show Aladdin at the New Amsterdam Theater. Let's see, I should cross this one out. Sadly, unfortunately, ending its run tomorrow, I believe. So you have just 2 more days to catch Girl from the North Country with our friend J.O. Sanders in it at Broadway's Belasco. Now they're saying that they're just closing now for the winter, and they're looking for another theater to come into in the spring. I would not be so if they can find an off-Broadway house. I think Girl from the North Country could make it. It's got Bob Dylan music. It's very well done. It's quite depressing. I just didn't really see it as being a hit on Broadway, and it's been struggling. I think even without the pandemic, a show like that would struggle a bit. But if they, even though it got mostly excellent reviews across the board, but they're taking it away with serious hopes to bring it back in the spring. And I think if they get a small theater for it, maybe they bring it back to the public theater where it started, it could make a go of it. But we certainly hope to see J.O. Sanders back on the boards very, very soon. He's a marvelous actor. Want to let you know that Monday nights at Birdland, Jim Caruso's cast party, all, every Monday, just for years and years to continue. Get your tickets, birdlandjazz.com. Evan Seplow is the founder and editor of StageBuddy.com. Check that website out. Dr. Demento doing new Dr. Demento shows at drdemento.com. Sounds of Broadway.com, founded by Stuart Brown, if you want to hear Broadway music 24/7 online. And then Bob Cudmore doing podcasts of upstate New York history at bobcudmore.com. And those, my friends, are the friends of the Daverhood. Woo! Diddly do. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, it's about 10 minutes to noon Eastern Time here in the Daverhood. You're watching Dave's Gone By with me, Dave Lefkowitz. For a little bit more about me, by the way, please also check out my website, davelefkowitz.org. davelefkowitz.org. I have spent many, many months collecting, and it's an ongoing project for the rest of my life, not just trying to write new stuff and write new plays and new pieces, but also finding all my old stuff. The stuff I wrote that was when I was in my 20s and 30s and 40s, the theater reviews that I wrote and published in various places, the little plays I was writing back then. I'm gathering them, I'm collecting them, and putting them all at the website, davelefkowitz.org. So I think it's yes, it's a little bit egoistical of me to say, yes, go to my website and read everything I've written. But it's also like, hey, if you're curious about theater in New York, in the 80s and 90s particularly, I reviewed everything in usually very short fashion, maybe about 200 to 300 words. And they're right there. And I think I'm providing a service, because if you're looking for a review of some show that opened off Broadway, and you start Googling it, you'll find the New York Times review if they sent a critic, maybe a Variety review, and that's it. All the old newspapers, you probably have to subscribe to some service to get the Time, to get the Post and the Daily News, and certainly all these other theater websites back then that were or may not even be extant. So if I'm putting up a review of some show that you barely even heard of, or that somebody who was unknown back then and is now famous was in, I'm probably only the second or third review that will come up if you Google that at all. So I find that a service for people who may be working in a scholarly way in the theater, or just theater lovers out of sheer curiosity. Check it out, davelefkowitz.org. You can also find there not just my reviews, but all my one-act plays, my full-length plays, my song lyrics, the interviews that I did. I was sad this week that we mentioned Ronnie Spector died. Phil Spector's very lucky to be ex-wife many, many years ago. Ronnie of the Ronettes, I was lucky enough to interview her back in 2018, not for this program, alas, but for in print Long Island Woman magazine. Well, if you got Long Island Woman magazine back then in 2018 in some bagel store, or in these free places where you can pick it up, you read it, and maybe you kept it or maybe you didn't. So it was kind of nice to say, oh no, I've got the story, I posted it online, it's on my website. You want to read my interview with the late Ronnie Spector? There it is. And so I think on some level, even though yes, there's a certain amount of narcissism and like, look at me, I'm a good writer. Look what I wrote. Look who I talked to. There's also a thing of like, hey, that's a pretty good story. You should check that out. You should read that. So davelefkowitz.org. Give it a look. Anywho, as I talk about narcissism, and I hold up this cup. Anywho, so let me tell you a little bit more before we get to the final piece of the puzzle that is this episode of Dave's Gone By, where we have our Colorado Limerick of the Damned going to Tyrone, Colorado. Tyrone, Colorado. Oh, you don't want to miss that. But I want to tell about one incident that happened to me this week that kind of just sums up everything. And so it sums up the last 2 years of where we all are mentally in dealing with people, in how we are in a society amongst ourselves after just being, not only that we've been isolated, but just that we've been so afraid of each other and so bored and miserable and just, scooting around each other. And it does take its toll. It really, really does. So I'm at the local supermarket and I'm getting ready to shop. I'm not shopping yet. I'm in the parking lot. I parked the car and I've got my bottles, and this is all ready.
For recycling.
Yeah, well, you're right. Yeah, all these liquor bottles. No, I mean, just tons and tons. We drink gallons and gallons of water and seltzer in this house, and those are bottles that are recyclable. You get, it's amazing. You pay 20 extra cents for a bottle and they give you 5 cents back. And half the time they don't even. It's the biggest, ridiculous, awful, annoyance scam in the world. I love the idea of recycling. I think recycling is a great thing. You take something, you don't need it anymore. It doesn't just become garbage in landfill that doesn't corrode for 1,000,000 years. You turn it into something else. It's great. I think we should do that with so many things. The idea of it, the actual reality of recycling, that California idea of, well, we have a blue bin for these and an orange bin for these, and then every third Thursday we use the yellow bin to, and it's like, God bless you. Just no. Okay, I'll separate. Fine. Remember the days when you used to get newspapers? You have to separate those. Now that's one of the reasons nobody wants to read newspapers anymore, because you took these bundles of newspapers and newsprint would get all over your finger, and you put that aside separately, and then if you forgot and you left it out and it rained that night, and I've got this saggy, mushy 50-pound bundle of little news. And so the idea of taking your used seltzer bottles and soda bottles and water bottles and bringing them back to the supermarket so that you can go and get 5 cents back on them, the reward, the carrot on the end of your stick of not being able to just throw them in the garbage with everything else, but having to throw them separately in a pile with each other. And that pile grows and grows and grows because, we drink like several little bottles of water a day and probably go through 1 or 2 seltzers every day or 2, right? So it just, within a week, you actually have a giant garbage bag full of bottles, like 20-something containers. And they're just sitting in there. You can't throw them out, and you're not going to leave them outside because you're going to put them in the car and bring them somewhere. And I bring them to the supermarket, and of course, and you will back me up, I'm sure. It doesn't matter what town you're in, where you're watching this from, your supermarket will have a machine that never works. You will go there, and either, if it is working, there'll be 2 people using the bottle recycling hole, and they will have literally station wagons parked next to them with bottles over, and you're like, because it does go quick when it works. So, it's a big bag, but the big bags actually do go. No, they've got shopping wagons going all the way past New Jersey into Connecticut, filled with bottles. And they're just coming in. It's like people, it's literally the same mindset as Vegas or Atlantic City. You're pumping the quarters in because at some point you're gotta hit the jackpot. At some point it will be full and it will spit back thousands of dollars at you. So now you're at this machine and it's like, aha, I've collected it. And chum, and chum, and chum. And meanwhile, you're like, you don't even want to get out of the car. You know that you've got 2 giant bags of bottles, and if you're going to stand, you're going to be there standing watching these people doing this for 10, 15 minutes, and in the cold and whatever weather, in summer and blazing heat, and you're like, the hell with it. So now you've got just more and more bottles filling up the car, filling up the back of the car, filling up the trunk. And the amazing thing about these bottles is they can get you killed, more likely in the summer than the winter, but certainly in the change of seasons. You can be, you're driving along, you've got like 80 empty plastic bottles in the back of the car in these bags. And you're driving along, cruising along 35, 40 miles an hour, and suddenly you hear bang! And it's like, wow! And your heart stops because you might be driving through an area where they would have a drive-by shooting. And what did I lose a tire? What? And it occurs to you, no, the pressure outside the bottle has changed significantly from the pressure inside the bottle because it's just warmed up. So, and this happens to us in the room that we are living because we have a bag of bottles that's near the radiator. And so at a certain point, when the bottles get hot enough, something happens, and then with the cap on, and it's a pop, like they just blow, and literally 2 o'clock in the morning, we'll hear pop. And what? Oh no, it's just the bottles, just the bottles. And if you keep more and more of them in the car, it's more and more likely that you're going to hear that sound when you're driving. Like a cold day, but it's suddenly sunny, or you've got the heater on, and then you're driving along, and like the temperature has radically changed in the car from 10 minutes ago, and the bottles go pop, pop, pop. So it's like, all right, I got to return these bottles. I got to get these out of the car before I jump. My foot hits the wrong pedal, and I go into like a divider. So, but you go to the supermarket, and if you're lucky, you can get to the machine. If you're lucky, there aren't 2 people ahead of you with enough bottles to, if you person could put ships in bottles for the rest of 12 lifetimes, it wouldn't be as many bottles as they have. And by the way, it's noon Eastern time. Here in the Daverhood, you're watching Dave's Gone By. I'm talking about recycling. And so this past week, a few days ago, I see that, oh my gosh, the machine is available. And it's green. It doesn't have the red X. That horrible red X that you get when you parked and you're schlepping not only the bags you want to shop, but the bags of bottles. Because the thing is, you would assume that you get out of the car, you divest yourself of all the bottles in the garbage bag, and then you can just go right into the supermarket because you've gotten rid of that, and then these other bags are for the groceries you're going to take out. Fantastic. Never works like that. Or as Tom Papa would put it, it's like, never works like that, never works like that, never works like that. He does that system of 3s at the end of his of some of his bits. But so he's so you get there, and I've got my bag, and I'm like, ho, I've got a machine, and it's working. But I know that if I have more than 15 bottles at any one time, it will take 15 bottles, and on the 16th, like, spit it back out, please wait for regroup. Initiation error, turns red X. And now I'm stuck there with half a bag of bottles, and I don't want to bring that into the store for obvious. So now I've got to go trundling back to the car with like 50 cents worth of bottles in my pocket for my trouble, because it'll print out the little slip that I can redeem for my 5 cents per bottle. So this is what happens. So I'm coming back from the machine. I took, I would say, about 3/4 of the bottles in the bag. So it wasn't that bad. I actually made a little bit of extra room in the car because I was able to give out like 18 or 22 bottles. Got my 5 cents a piece. But now I'm still going to bring them back to the car because I don't want to bring these empty bottles into the actual supermarket. And I go back to my car, and I realized when I was parking that I went into space in this parking lot, and I was kind of close to the line in my parking, right? So, the line on the left, line on the right. I turned in to kind of avoid being close to the car on my right. And so I turned in and was very close on the left to the lines on the left side of the car, right? The yellow line on the asphalt of the parking lot. Close enough that I'm actually, the wheels are sort of on it. And so I try to do the bottle thing. I come back from the bottle thing. Just all I want to do. And already, like, my shoulders are sagging. I'm sighing. I'm like, what? Another pain in the ass in my life. Wonderful, wonderful. I can't get all the bottles done. Now I got to go back to the car. But it's cold. I open the car, put the bottles in, and there's the guy in the car that is parked directly to my left in this next spot over. And he gives me the look of, like, not a friendly look. not even a cautionary look. He's just like, and he looks like, I mean, like, and I'm like, what? Dude, please. I work all week. It's a pandemic. I'm afraid I have COVID. This and this and this and this is, what? And he's like, well, you tell me what. I'm like, okay. And I say, okay. I look, and it's true. He does not have a lot of room to get into his car. I was able to squeeze out the front door of my car when I parked, or I should say my mother's car. I was able to open it, not all the way. I had to sort of slide in a little bit, but it was enough. It was because I was in the lines, absolutely in the lines of my spot. But he's like, pointing at how close I am to his car. And by the way, I should mention that this man's car, we're not talking about a Lamborghini. We're not talking about a Jag or a perfectly curated 1967 Rolls Royce. This guy has a car that looks like, the Dukes of Hazzard after. There's paint peeling everywhere. There's bumps and there's dents and there's scrape all along the side. None of which I caused. None of which has anything to do with me. And yet, meanwhile, he's looking at me and he's saying, well, look how you parked. And I say, sir, I didn't say sir. I said, trying to be, just trying to avoid him. I don't want to engage. I just want to do my damn shopping, right? But I tell the man, hey, you know what? I am between the lines. And he says, and I quote, no, you're on the line, you fucking moron. Now, please, I've been in my share of verbal fights. I've got the testosterone thing. I'm a man. I get into my things and I go at it just to the point where almost being punched. Or one time I was punched. But he's like, if there's a thing of he started it. So I was minding my business. I was bringing my bottles back, and I was parked within the lines, although my tire a bit on the yellow line. Not all the way off it, not over into his space, but just a bit onto the line, and making him having a pretty tight squeeze. Right? But suddenly, I've gone from being to whatever, or some stranger, to being, quote, a fucking moron. And I'm proud of myself, sort of, for this. I did not immediately lose my stuff, right? Didn't immediately jump into the invective and the curse. I thought, I'm going to give this guy one more chance. Because I could already feel this wasn't really about me. Right? I mean, yes, it was probably really difficult for him to get into the driver's seat, to get out of the car, whatever. Yeah, he probably pissed off at that, but that was probably just like the icing, or that is the shit cherry on a poop cake, right? Or on a poop sundae. That was just this one other thing in whatever his day was, whatever his year had been, of whatever he's going through. And I'm like, and I said, without responding in any kind of curse way, I said, sir, man, do you kiss your mother with that mouth? which is this whole classic thing of like, oh, shit, I'm going to rise above you. I am going to be so much higher than you. I'm not using the profanity. I'm not this. I'm not. And suddenly you're cursing me out for this perceived slight insult thing that I have done to you specifically because I knew you were parking. I knew I would ruin your day by parking in this spot. And I was like, sir, do you kiss your mother with a mouth? And literally just waving him away, wanting to walk away. And then, very proudly, my dear, my wife, I came to my wife's honor because he responded to that and he was like, no, but I kissed your wife last night. Ah. And I was like, okay, it's on. It's the dozens. It's on. I'm like, I would have walked. I was literally waving him away. I was just, giving him the hand signal, like, you kissed your mother with that mouth on. And he's like, no, but I kissed her. I think he said kissed. He might have said fucked. I think he said kissed. Either one. I knew what Joyce was doing the night before. And she was neither kissing nor fucking this guy, right? It's a pandemic. She's not kissing or fucking anybody. She's wearing a mask and dousing herself with Lysol and wrapping herself in tinfoil. She's not going near anybody, let alone this, white trash middle-aged balding slob. Even more of a white trash middle-aged balding slob than I am. Right? But now he's called her into it, and I'm like, oh. So now I know, okay, he wants it. Now, and we both, sometimes you just have this sense, thank God we have this sense, that the other person isn't armed, right? Because the smart person would go, you know what? You're engaging with a man who is deliberately getting in your face. And we're not actually, and the other cool thing is we're not really getting in each other's faces. We're calling from several feet away, right? I'm masked. I don't remember if he was. But, and I'm still standing. I'm standing there, my hands full, one with empty bags, the other with bottles of empty plastic. So it's already ridiculous, right? But, and then at the same time, I'm saying, don't want to say quite the wrong thing in case he has a gun, in case of this, right? But as soon as he mentioned the wife, I was kissing your wife last night. I'm like, and then it's like, okay, let's just do it. And the only regretful thing is that I lose that wonderful sense of play and creativity where I can think of really disgusting, funny, horrible things when I'm writing songs, when I'm writing plays, or sometimes something will come to me in this relaxed atmosphere. Soon as I'm in a situation like that, though, it's kind of like, I sound like Soupy Sales as one of his characters. I want to say something unbelievably nasty and insulting and the worst insult you've ever heard, but all I can think, fuck. Fuck you. Go fuck yourself. So this is, and that's what it became. For another 15 seconds, us trading back, fuck yourself. And fuck you too, and fuck you too, and fuck you too. The New York salute. And finally, but I thought I always have the capper. I do always hold in reserve the one that I think is either the one that's going to end the argument or get me shot. And it's because it's the nasty, it's the worst one. And I save it for the end. And I'm just ready to walk. I'm done with him because he's not being particularly witty, and unfortunately, neither am I. So I know we're both just sick of life. We're both I'm sick to death of standing there, of being in the cold, of returning bottles, of shopping, of pandemic, of work, of everything. And I'm sure he's got his own stuff that he's dealing with. So he needed to vent. I didn't really need to vent at that moment, but he's got me venting. So we're just going, fuck. And finally, I'm like, the classic, the beautiful one. Fuck you and your children. Which I didn't want to steal the great George Carlin one. Fuck you and everybody who looks like you. Which is just genius. That's I never heard that until I heard Carlin. Beautiful. Nah, but fuck you, that's nastier. It isn't wife. It isn't even mother, which is so overused. And then, motherfucker and all that. No, fuck you and your children. Because people, parents get like, children? Oh, my children, my children. He wasn't fazed. He was like, yeah, I just gave him the finger and then turned away and went off to go shopping. And that was my moment. And it was a rather stupid thing to do, considering that I turned my back on the man, not in the sense that he would charge at me with a knife or a machete, but here he is, and it's not even my car I'm driving, it's a lease. And I'm kind of walking away with him right next to the car, with him fuming in anger at me, and saying, well, gosh, when I come out of the supermarket, I think I'm going to check for some key scratches, because if he smashed one of my lights, broke off, I don't think they do aerials anymore, if he broke off anything, and much to the guy's credit, I have a feeling if he even tried to like slam his door into mine, it would do more damage to his already desiccated door than it would have done to this RAV4. So, I just figured I just hope for the best. I just shrugged and like, oh please, please let him not smash the windshield. Please let him not break the mirror. Let him not. Just let him go. Let him be gone. I purposely just stay a little extra time in the supermarket to feel like, I hope he's not waiting for me. It's going to be dark by the time I get out of here. Not going to be good if he's still spoiling for fight part 2, because then that could get, that's when some onlooker would want to call the cops. But he went away. He was just having the day. He was having the moment, and that was the thing that broke him. Some asshole parked just a little close to the line next to the spot, and it made it hard for him to open his car door. And that was his day. And of course, if he'd been nice about it, it was, hey buddy, I really want to get, it's really hard for me getting into my car. Could you maybe come in and come out again? I'm like, yeah, sure, sorry. When I pulled in, I was afraid to go too close to this other guy, so I parked left and turned too close, whatever. I'm always bad at that. I'm very bad with judging, especially the right side of my vehicle. I always have a thing of I overcompensate when I'm turning, or I'm overthinking of just how much room that I need, or underthinking sometimes. I need on the right side of this car, especially in a big car. But no, and I just felt like if that isn't the most endemic thing of where people are right now, of how we all feel about each other, about how we all just want to sometimes rail for no good reason at someone, because it just feels so good to find an enemy, to create a straw enemy and rail invective at them until you're done, until you both walk away and say, no hard feelings. I really have no hard feelings against the guy. It's weird. I have terrible hard feelings against a guy who punched me on the subway. I have hard feelings against lots of people who've done things to me in my life. This guy, I'm like, I hope he's all right. I hope he has a better day next time he shops. I really do, because I get it. I really honestly get it. And I should have been the bigger man in the sense of saying, dude, the world sucks. Everything sucks. I'm sorry I parked that way. I'm sorry, have a great life. And actually meant it. Not just like that way, but yeah, hey, have a good life, which is really just code for fuck you. It's like, no, seriously, dude, I get it. I get it. And, we're all in this together, bro. I'm a middle-aged guy frustrated with everything. You're a middle-aged guy frustrated with everything. And it's like, let's just be bros in the universe. So that was my week in COVID. And the fact that I didn't get COVID, which is also really, really good. So shall we, speaking of curses, although there are no curses in this, it is still quite an R-rated limerick that we have coming for you, because to end this episode of Dave's Gone By Live on this Saturday, January 15th, 2022, we have a Colorado Limerick of the Damned. This is where, for living so many years in beautiful Colorado, I started writing a poem about as many towns and cities and little hick-burg communities as I possibly could. And just for fun. Just a 5-line poem, a limerick. Generally dirty, filthy, nasty, tasteless, and horrible. That's kind of the point of limericks. And so this week, we go to Tyrone, Colorado, for our Colorado Limerick of the Damned.
A limerick is a comic verse of 5 lines, in which lines 1, 2, and 5 will end with words that rhyme. And likewise, verses 3 and 4 also end with words that rhyme. So this is a limerick. Rocky Mountain,
Colorado, indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, our Colorado Limerick of the Damned. So this week, as I said, let me tell you just a little bit about Tyrone, Colorado. Yep, there's a place there. It's unincorporated community in Las Animas County. So it's in far southern Colorado, kind of towards the center. They used to have a post office. They don't anymore. Just a few scattered houses there. It's mostly an abandoned ghost town kind of community. There's even an old abandoned schoolhouse, which is always kind of cool for me. Tyrone, Colorado. Although I guess in this housing market, even a hut there is probably $700,000. But anywho, to commemorate more of the heyday of this town that never really did have a heyday, I've written a poem, a disgusting Colorado Limerick of the Damned, about Tyrone. Ahem. Oh, how I enjoy getting blown by that tender young twat from Tyrone. She drives me quite daft as she nibbles my shaft and drains all the goo from my bone. I was wondering why the word goo was in my head earlier. I used it several times. And I thought it was also because I was using it in something I'm working on with a rabbi, and the word comes up. But goo, word goo is in my head, and then I realized, I popped it into the limerick as well. Please send your comments and complaints to davesgoneby@aol.com, davesgoneby@aol.com. You can also post, of course, your messages to me right here on Facebook on our Dave's Gone By channel. I do want to give a shout out, as I always do, to our fine friends at Hewlett Minuteman Press, the copy kings of Broadway. I've known the Tyrone family that operates that franchise of Minuteman in Hewlett, Long Island. They do fine quality work. They're good people to deal with, and I've been using their services for years. I'm not a commercial. I'm not telling you to go there. I'm not sending you to Hewlett Minuteman Press with money in your hands to buy things, because no, they would take that off Cablevision if this hour happens to get on the air. No. I'm just saying, there happens to be a franchise of Minuteman in Hewlett, Long Island, and a family's been running it there since the 1970s, and they do fine work. And they do all kinds of things like copying and binding and silk screening and putting logos and names on things and birthday cards and holiday cards and wedding invitations. Just saying. This is just purely informational and not a pitch. I think I did that pretty well, don't you think? Anywho, that about caps this episode of the Dave's Gone By Facebook, your podcast, your programming, or the stream. Be sure to see our archives at davesgoneby.com. Be sure to read my work at davelefkowitz.org. And everybody, please put your masks on. Be very, very careful. And get in your cars. And then, by the way, if you're going to New Jersey, so the masks aren't even about COVID. They're just about breathing the air of New Jersey. So put everything on, protect yourself, and get yourself down to the New Jersey Performing Arts Center tonight for 2 shows. There's a 7 o'clock and a 9:30 of Tom Papa.
There are tickets available.
There are tickets available.
Yeah.
Where is New Jersey? Is it in Pacific? It's in Newark, New Jersey. Go to the NJPAC website or go to tompapa.com to find out more about him, to watch more of his stuff, see his specials on Netflix, of course. They're really, really good. What a wonderful guest, Tom Papa. Thank you again to Joey Mullen for putting that all together, and for Angela Thomas at New Jersey Performing Arts Center for making the connection. I really appreciate that. Thank you again to Rabbi Sal Solomon for being on the show, David Sheward, Leslie Hoban Blake, and John Pielmeier. Thank you to my darling, wonderful, patient, adorable wife, Joyce. Joyce, any thoughts on the week ahead, the week behind Martin Luther King? Anything? That says everything. Joyce just went like, no.
I said, I can't say what I feel, so I can't say anything.
So yeah, let's just say it's like, I mean, I think that about says it. Maybe the curve will start this week. Maybe it'll be that downhill racer thing of Omicron. We can only hope. Anyway, I hope to be with you next Saturday, the day before my birthday, January 22nd, 2022, with the 834th edition of the Dave's Gone By Facebookio, Podcastio, Programmio of the stream. Be healthy, be well. We'll let you know. Check the website, check the Facebook page to see who's going to be on the show next week. And gone by.
Days gone by, they're gone by. Days gone by, they're gone by. Days gone by, they're gone by.
I have a dream. Now I'm Jewish. It's a nightmare.